kunstbeen af, met raad en saam, met lyding en hoop, verdriet en saam staan jy staan. Jy is altyd daar. Dit wat ons doen, ons liefdes, ons vreugdes, ons plekke, ons thuistes, tot daar waar ons reis, jy is daar. Afrikaans is ons wese. Dis die taal waarin ons groet, die taal is in ons bloed, is Afrikaans, vir ons mense. En ek stuur vir jou 'n sein, met 'n boodskap daarby, en waar jy is, sal jy dit kry, in Afrikaans vir ons mense. Al verander straatname, al word helde laat val, ons is steeds deur ons adem, ons kultuur, ons verhaal, dit sal altyd bestaan. Afrikaans is ons wese. Dis die taal waarin ons groet, die taal is in ons bloed, is Afrikaans, vir ons mense. En ek stuur vir jou 'n sein, met 'n boodskap daarby, en waar jy is, sal jy dit kry, in Afrikaans vir ons mense. Ons is daarmee gebore, die taal waarvoor ons staan, dit vloei deur ons are, ons kinders praat het saam, dit sal altyd bestaan. Afrikaans is ons wese. Dis die taal waarin ons groet, die taal is in ons bloed, is
gesteek het, hy sê, suster, vir jou kan ek dit nie sê. Hy sê, suster, gaan jy die vorm lees as ek hier ingevul het? Sy sê, ja, hy sê nie, dan kan ek dit ook nie skryf. Toe sê die ou nou maar, suster, as ek dan vir jou moet sê, waar die by my gesteek het, laat ek dit vir jou so stel. As dit vir jou is wat hy geprobeer steek het, dan was dit mis.
Maar hier om sy beek, nou rem ek met die kiel, en ek rem,
Maar ek sal maar
En ek rem.
hierdie vat. Pure plas, sê ek vir jou. Pure plas.
Jan, 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 die pille van die bos. Jan sny koring op die land, is gelijk soos goud. En hy tel sy sente oor en oor, as hy die dorsmasjien hoor. Maar daar is 'n ander Jan, Jan van wie ek praat. Hy het geboer waar hy soggens vroeg die nat son kon groet. 'n man van durf en daad, en almal het hom lief gehad. Ek sing van Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. Oh, Jan, jy's 'n legend, jy's 'n held. Ons sal jou nooit vergeet, jy was 'n man van staal. Oh, en jou stories het nooit opgeraak. Ek sing van Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. Oh, liewe Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. En oom Jan was baie lief, vir 'n koppie boeretroos, en ek sou alles gee om dit hier met hom te deel. En nog geen keer te hoor as hy sy stories vertel. Maar die lewe het te vroeg vir oom Jan spies kom hou. Oh, oom Jan, jy's 'n legend, jy's 'n held. Ons sal jou nooit vergeet, jy was 'n man van staal. Oh, en jou stories het nooit opgeraak. Ek sing van Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. Oh, liewe Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. En die nou op sand het lang al reeds jou spore toegewaai. Maar die wind huil nog elke liewe aan, as jou wind kom draai. En jou volk se hart battle ons jou diep, maar sê ons nie die goodbye. In ons lach steeds vir jou stories, Jan. Om elke liewe braai. Oh, Jan, jy's 'n legend, jy's 'n held. Ons sal jou nooit vergeet, jy was 'n man van staal. Oh, en jou stories het nooit opgeraak. Ek sing van Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. Oh, Jan, jy's 'n legend, jy's 'n held. Ons sal jou nooit vergeet, jy was 'n man van staal. Oh, en jou stories het nooit opgeraak. Ek sing van Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. Oh, liewe Jan, Jan Koffie Kapitaal. Ons sal jou nooit vergeet. Jan Koffie Kapitaal.
Hey folks, welcome back to Chris White Africa on the Adaba Africa channel. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Lekker Lekker Freitag, and welcome to everybody around the world. For Afrikaans speakers, that was for you guys. And my profuse apologies once again, not clickbait. Jezelle's concert is not ready. It has everything to do with the poor quality of Johan's editing software and his laptop while they're still in Namibia. They'll be back in Pretoria here shortly, and we will get you that concert that was played in Maltahohe. And my sincere apologies. I feel like I pulled the wool over your eyes, but I haven't. It's not intentional. It's just the circumstances. Also, my guest earlier today, Valerie, was not present. I haven't heard from her yet. I hope she's okay. Also not pulling it over your eyes. But tomorrow, folks, we do have on the channel Dean Chancey. By popular request, Conscious Carrick will put me in touch with Dean Chancey. That's the American from Texas who sings about Boer and about Afrikaner culture. He'll be on tomorrow. Welcome to everybody in the stream. It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. And my many, many thanks to Jezelle for that music. I'll make sure that I delete that after the stream because I'll get a copyright claim on that, even though I have the copyrights to it. Go figure. And also to Depree van Heerden for his song. Beautiful song there from Depree van Heerden. He's my guest recently on the channel, gave permission to promote his music, so that's what I'm trying to do. Also in the process talking to Manny Jackson, who hopefully will be on the channel sometime soon, maybe next week. We'll see what happens. Ola says, we understand Jezelle's worth waiting for. I agree she is, and thank you for your patience. My sincere apologies, but with just 65 people watching the stream, it's not like a lot of people came in who don't know the channel and thought they were seeing something. So a fan of Merle Haggard. I like Merle Haggard as a person. His music doesn't do much for me, Johan, but he's fine. Actually, in my conversations earlier today with Monty Jackson, he was asking me if I knew who Slim Whitman was. And yes, I know who Slim Whitman was. He was fantastic. He's a legend. His voice is amazing, very distinct. Old Slim Whitman. Really appreciate that guy. Mike Oberholzer says, good evening. Enjoy the program tonight. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate that. I mixed a little bit of Depree van Heerden in there with Jezelle. Fantastic. Both of them are great. Gareth says, I love Monty Jackson. Listen, Monty Jackson's awesome, Gareth, and I'm beyond the program. He said he's interested in coming in. He and I have been chatting back and forth. In fact, he's been sending me some of his music, but I think it was just for me to listen to. Oh my goodness, folks. Monty Jackson sent me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 20, 28 of his songs. Wow. I just looking, there's 28 songs that have come in from him. I'm going to take me a little while to download this and listen to them. Wow. The Pet Zoo Film Crew. By the way, folks, you should, Pet Zoo Film Crew, I'm going to just very quick, or actually, I'll rather than do that, Hendo, if you don't mind taking a moment away from the program, go to the Pet Zoo Film Crew's channel and find his video that he did about the EFF. It's about 4 minutes long about Brockenfell. If you don't mind, and post that link in here, or one of the other moderators. I don't mean to put it all on Hendo, but Hendo's just, he knows what he's doing. He gets it done very quickly. Shackdor says, I used to be Monty Jackson's barman. Yeah, he and I were talking. I guess he played in pubs and bars for like 12 years before he hit it big. It's amazing. Yeah, Tony, that is. He sent me all those songs. It's just awesome. Wow. Now, being the kind of person I am, I'll probably go back and what I can buy off of Amazon, I'll probably buy it just so it makes some revenue for him. But yeah, so anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Those of you who are here. For some reason, we've been having some odd things happening with the channel of late. But we're not alone. It's happening to conservative content creators across the YouTube platform, and not just here. Yeah, it's a whole 2 CDs of music, 20-some songs there. That's 2 CDs. That's fascinating, Shaq Dwell. Used to be his barman. That's pretty cool. But thanks for tuning in, folks. Also, thank you for the likes. We have 58 likes with 68 people currently watching. That's pretty good odds. But we did have, at the beginning of the stream, 20 likes and 4 people watching. I think it's because I was about 3 minutes late. My apologies for that. Folks, I just to tell you a little bit what's going on with the hysteria with COVID, I have medication for an infection and also medication for malaria meds. And I had a telephonic conversation with my physician on Tuesday, whom I haven't seen in 3 years, by the way. But I had a conversation with him, and he prescribed my medication. So I went to the clinic to pick it up. I was happy to find out they were open the day after Thanksgiving because it's a federal holiday. I got there, and the parking lot was blocked, and you couldn't get in anywhere. So I parked around behind the building, walked in, and the doors are open, and there's almost no one in there. And it's some lieutenant colonel who's there. Said, "Can I help you, sir?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's no signs out here about what I'm supposed to do. How do I pick up medications?" "Oh, well, we're closed." I said, "Okay." The door's open. We closed at noon, and it was almost 2 o'clock. So anyway, yeah. So I was supposed to go to Ghana tomorrow, and now if I was flying to Ghana tomorrow, I would be flying without malaria medication because they closed the clinic early because of their COVID hysteria. The clinic never closed at noon on a Friday. It might just be because of the holiday. That's fine. But the fact that I had to wait until today to get my medications is because of the COVID hysteria. Normally, I could get the medication the same day, but no. Playing these stupid games because of this lunacy. All the while, we're walking around with diapers on our face, and the infection rates continue to climb, and the death rate continues to decline. Interesting, all that. But there you go, folks. So that's the issue I had going on there earlier. So I'm a few minutes late because I had to sort out some things that should have taken 5 minutes, and it took a good 20 minutes to find someone and sort that out. But anyway, so here's the question from Dupree van Heerden song. Waar is die dag waar die Afrikaner staan saam? Waar is die dag waar die Afrikaner staan saam? Well, there you go, folks. You need to stand up. You need to stand together, and not just the Afrikaners, but all law-abiding, democracy-respecting, cogent, lucid South Africans against the tyranny and the horrific nonsense going on in South Africa between the EFF and the malgovernance of the African National Congress. You got to stand up. A good show, thanks. Stratacat 2000. Well, thank you for that. Boom Shakalaka says diapers on your face. Well, they are diapers. Come on. I mean, I have a white one. It looks like I'm wearing a diaper on my face. It's crazy. Yeah. So I spent 2 decades in Africa dealing with malaria, tuberculosis, Ebola, HIV. Never wore a mask. Never contracted any of those diseases. Knock on wood. But yeah, my table actually is wood. It's real wood, so I can knock on wood. Yeah, no, boom shakalaka, diapers on your face, indeed. Azania must die, Marxist scum must starve, says Yako Hunter. Ooh, okay. I think you mean the concept of Azania. There is no Azania, it's South Africa. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. Pet Zoo Film Cruise, can you play the video? I will not strike you. Just post the song I use for this satire in my description, on your description of what the copyright sec. Yeah, I can do that later, Pet Zoo, if you right now. But I mean, I have to do that. It's going to cause me to disrupt the whole thing here. But yeah, I didn't play that video because I didn't have your permission. And you're trying to build your channel. Also, I figured the music would be copyrighted. So anyway, yeah, but that's a great video. Brilliant job there. So well done. So Hendo, is that the link? Let me see. You know what? I'll take a chance. I'll get copyrighted here. Screw it. You know, I'm already going to get it for Jezelle's music. If they're going to block my video, why not just go all the way? Okay, hang on. This is about 4 minutes, folks. Okay, before I play this, because it might be some buffering. So let me ask this, folks. This is called the Battle of Brackenfell. This is EFF versus police graphic content. Do you all want to watch it? If I get enough, yeah, let's see it. Yes, we want to watch the Pet Zoo Film Cruise video. Just tell me thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no, and I'll respond based on what you guys say. So you guys tell me. Hi, Shaq. When did you become moderator? Lynn wants to know when Shaq became moderator recently. Helena Dorothea Terblanche says yes. Garrett says yes. Zuin the Man says yes with a thumbs up. Kyle says yes. Okay, folks, I'm going to play this. This is from our fellow viewer there. Let me get back there. The Pet Zoo Film Crew, who is on He's okay. Yeah. Okay, everybody wants to watch it. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Let's see what happens. Let me make sure I got the right screen up. So hang on a second. Oh, I gotta close my screen. Rookie mistake. There we go. Here you go, folks. Let's see. This is the Battle of Brockenfell.
Warriors around, don't get caught in the mind. Fuel to the fire, ain't nobody can stop it. Trouble in my city, but you know I'm across it. Got a 40 on my hip and I'm liable to spark it. Slow down these hits, my click is indivisible. I aim, you duck, I squeeze, now you invisible. I'm not afraid of getting physical. All these different chemicals are fogging up my vision.
Jack the man.
We notorious, we ain't no runners. Guns on my hands, got slugs on my gunners. Some warriors, they ain't called gunners.
Little Jack Markowitz. Little Jack Markowitz. Peaceful demonstration. Peaceful demonstration. Just like a Zulu impy. Until now, watch him run! Run away! Run away! Cowards! Cowards! Oh, watch him run! Watch him run! Watch him run! Run, little bitches, run! Where's Jack Markowitz? Show yourself, Jack! Where's Jack Markowitz? Oh, little EFF boy, check out the blue water. Run, run, run! The powerful, the EFF impy. Coward behind a tree, coward behind a tree. Live in peace and not like animals. Why? Because you're criminal terrorists. That's why. Between, know what I mean? Better myself, better my aim, better my rap, better my name. Killing rappers on my hang, I'm by their chains for the fame. Never thought I would, now I'm running. You don't wanna follow me, I'm out the fucking front of this. Peaceful demonstration, not. Look at him run, run. Meanwhile, at the gay party.
What we want as the leadership from you fighters, we want maximum discipline. Yes. We want maximum cooperation. Yes. The Cape Metro is not going to allow the president to fail. This is the march of our president. Yes. Let us operate with restraint. Let us operate with vigilance.
Blue Lives Matter, ladies and gentlemen. Blue Lives Matter. That's right. Support your local law enforcement against the Marxist, socialist, disgusting, vile scum of the planet. Blue Lives Matter. Well, thank you, Pet Zoo film crew. That was awesome. I hope people enjoyed that. Hope you didn't mind the commentary that I added in the midst of all that. Run away, scamper away. Notice, we call for discipline, for restraint. They will not allow the president to be here. Cyril Ramaphosa was prohibited from attending Brockenfell? No. Juju is not the president, folks. He's not the president. They're referring to the president of their party, their political party, which is little more than a domestic terrorist organization disguised as a political party. You know, the economic freedom fighters. Sorry, I get confused by that. There you go, folks. How you like it? Yako says, nice one, Wyatt. Kami's getting the monthly shower of blue. Yeah, there you go. Here, take your SASA grants. Shh. Here you go. Here's your UIF. Shh. Yikes. Unbelievable. Peaceful assembly. You notice there's a very big distinction between an EFF toy-toying rally like that, which is an intimidation rally, and an actual Zulu impi. The Zulus were brave warriors. They actually fought. They fought courageously in most engagements. When the Zulu advanced in an impi, in a formation like that, as the horns of the bull came around you. These clowns, with their knob carries, and their pungas, and their golf clubs, marching, dancing, screaming, charging towards law enforcement and Brockenfell High School. The moment water was turned on him, it's like watching The Wizard of Oz. Oh, I'm melting. It's just water. It's just water. And the flashbang grenades, they're just loud noise and smoke. There's no fragmentation coming from them. Those weren't rubber bullets, which, by the way, hurt an awful lot, as people at Kaifontaine discovered. Well, there you go, folks. There you go. The brave. It's like watching an episode of Monty Python or The Holy Grail. Brave Sir Robin bravely ran away. No, I didn't. Yes, he did. He bravely ran away. When danger reared its ugly head, brave Sir Robin turned and fled. Brave Sir Robin bravely ran away. I did not. You did. Economic freedom fighters, criminal violators of the law. A judge said 100 protesters from 10 to 12. Folks, that's a little bit more than 100. Notice the social distancing that they were not maintaining, or the mask that they were not wearing. Yes, as they threatened people with clubs, knives, and golf clubs. Yeah, that's a peaceful assembly. Broke every single rule you can possibly imagine. MF says a terrorist group who just don't want to work for it, want everything for free, burn, destroy infrastructure. Exactly right. Louisa says, I don't think the proud Zulu nation want to be part of these cowards. No, they don't. That's right, Hendo. Those were their special SASA grants, delivered courtesy of Blue Water from the SAPS, the South African Police Service. There you go. Jacques Husseman says EFF is scared of water. They are, because they're melting. I'm melting. Like the Wicked Witch of the West. Wicked Witch of the West. Chris, blue plus red equals purple, someone's favorite color. That's true. Purple is my favorite color. But I didn't see any of the EFF turning purple, so it didn't quite work out that way. Stronger Together says, I actually feel very sorry for EFF. They've been taken for fools by madmen taking orders from Lord Renwick and the WMC, pretending to be the enemy of. I don't feel sorry for them. When you carry a weapon and you threaten people based on their skin color, that makes you a racist. That makes you a bigot. That makes you a danger to public safety. That makes you a menace. I have no empathy whatsoever. And that woman, why? Why? Because you violated the law, you dipstick. Are you not paying attention to what's going on? Do you think you have the right to march on a public street with weapons threatening people? What planet do you live on, you jackass? Why? Why? Because you're a criminal. You've been dispersed by law enforcement for violating the order from the judge, which gave permission to your feckless political organization to have a demonstration against purported racism. There's no racism. The racism is coming from the EFF, not from Brockenfell, from the EFF. Do we see demonstrations and rallies from the EFF because in Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, there are schools where only black children go? Not a single white teacher is employed. Is that racism? No. It's a reality of the location. Stop being such complete jackasses. And how about the international media start covering these events for what they are? For what they are, ladies and gentlemen, race baiting, race mercantilism by racist bigots who seek to divide people based on skin pigmentation, an immutable factor, something you cannot change. It is what you are born with, and that's how it works. So get over it. Stop the nonsense, you bigots and racists. Unbelievable, folks. 26 years after the end of apartheid, in which we were sold a bill of goods that apartheid was all about racial hatred, which it wasn't, but we were sold that bill of goods. And we were told that it's all kumbaya now. Only it's not all kumbaya now. It is not. It is not. Look at this. Wow, that's a new one. I've already got a copyright claim for a video that I showed earlier. Look at that. Oh, it's because I played Philins Mensa. See that? It's just constant nonsense. CD baby, screw you. You people are criminals. You're not listening. I have copyright. I've sent you the information. You refuse to recognize it from the artist herself and from the manager, the people that own the copyright. You don't own it, CD baby. Start doing your job and protecting music and not harassing people who have legitimate rights to play that music. I do. And I have told you repeatedly. I'm tired of it. It's getting old. Anyway. So MF says, they now want to kill South Africa police. Big mistake. Legal citizens who believe in right and wrong will help our police. No, they won't. No, they won't, MF. Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. Get ready. General Flynn is pardoned. The class is coming. I don't know what you're saying there, Judy Herba. Let's see what else. I'll vote for the next election if I'm still in South Africa. Says Strong Together. Vote for who? Vote for who? Who are you talking about? Leanne Prentice, here's Daniel Prinsloo. Juju equals one buffoon. EFF equals a bunch of buffoons. Yep. What else we got here? Tony Nagy's back. Good to see you, Tony. Hunter Racing Green is my favorite color. Well, Hunter Green, or Kelly Green is the color of Ohio University. Kelly Green. Okay, what else we got here? Anyone else? President Trump recently shared a tweet with a video. Hyenas attacking a lion. These communist Teletubbies are cowardly hyenas. Will only attack tomorrow. Yeah, you notice the EFF ran when someone sprayed water, but several of them attacked an unarmed man and beat him mercilessly in front of cameras. Did you catch that video? That nutter who walked over there in front of that stage and tried to get their attention. Yeah, Leanne Prentice is here. Welcome to you. By the way, folks, I've discovered that if you want Chris Wyatt African merchandise and Daba merchandise, you can get it if you're in Australia and New Zealand. So just in case you're curious, Peter or somebody else like that might want the merch, apparently you can buy it in Australia and New Zealand. I think New Zealand, but Australia for sure. So it's not just Europe and North America where you can buy it. You can buy it there. In the meantime, still searching for a solution for South Africa. But let's talk about a couple things here, folks. Number one, Donald Trump's campaign apparently lost a court case today in Pennsylvania. Let's see what's going on there with that. So let me see if I can get the right. I probably have the wrong window up now, so it's going to be hard to do. Let me see. I might try it this way. This might work. Yeah, hang on a second. Let me try this and see if it works. This is a little bit different approach. If this link is still active, it looks like it might be. There we go. Okay, I can do that. Right. So Donald Trump's campaign lost a court case today in federal court. Federal appeals court rejected an attempt by Trump's campaign to keep alive his effort to undo the result in Pennsylvania. 3-judge panel in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit Court wrote a scalding opinion that the Trump campaign's claims have no merit. I find that hilarious, but I wasn't in court. I don't know what they presented. The court opinion marks the latest court toss for Trump, who has refused to concede the election and is falsely asserting that he won the race. Okay. Right. Thank you, CNBC, for your misinformation. So the appellate court's decision affirmed a federal judge's ruling from last week earlier denied the Trump campaign's request to block the state from certifying its results. The opinion marks the latest court toss for Trump, who's refused to concede and is falsely asserting he won the race. On Wednesday, Trump flatly stated we have to overturn the election. Trump's personal attorney appeared before the court. District Judge Matthew Bryan in Williamsport. That was last week. But the appeals court noted in its 21-page opinion that when standing before Bryan in the courtroom, Giuliani said the campaign doesn't plead fraud. Calling an election unfair does not make it so, says the Third Circuit Court's opinion. Charges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither. Well, I don't know what exactly it was that the Trump campaign was trying to push. Whoops, there we go. Sorry, trying to push there. But here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. I've given you all the evidence of fraud you need. How stupid are these judges? We have 682,000 ballots. Now, are you denying that had happened? That's not mentioned here by the judges. Did they not present that in the court case? I don't know. Maybe they intentionally didn't present it because they wanted to go to the Supreme Court. I don't know. Jenna Ellis said, SCOTUS, here we come. So the Supreme Court of the United States is the next step for this particular case in Pennsylvania. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Present the evidence now and let the judges make a decision. But we know clearly that in the state of Pennsylvania, there has been widespread fraud. The election officials, how can the circuit court, all you have to do is take the recordings of what they said and read the newspaper headlines and read the press release from the Secretary of State and the Attorney General said that they would not follow Pennsylvania election law. It's as simple as that. The law is very clear. You go in there, you argue, this is what Pennsylvania election law says. Boom, 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 boom. And then 3 weeks before the election, these two state officials announced they're going to violate the law. There's fraud right there. That's a basis, a legitimate basis for that court to order an audit of those votes. the mail-in ballots. Absolutely. So I don't understand why these courts are overturning these things. I'm not an attorney. I'm not pretending to be one. But from a common sense perspective, I am a former law enforcement official and I am familiar with the law to some degree. And what I've just told you is sufficient evidence for a court to open an inquiry or to direct an inquiry. So I don't understand what's going on with this. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But then I wasn't in the court and I didn't hear it. But let's read a little bit more about what's going on here, folks. So Jezelle said, on to SCOTUS, referring to Supreme Court, rather than argue that fraud had been committed in Pennsylvania, the Trump campaign's federal lawsuit instead alleged that mail-in ballots had been handled differently. So what they're talking about in different counties is that the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment is what they're talking about here. There wasn't equal protection for all Pennsylvania voters. Campaign also alleged that some observers watching the countless counting votes at polling stations have been unfairly restricted. In his written decision, Braun said the campaign's lawyers failed to present compelling legal arguments and factual proof of rampant corruption. I'm sorry. What the hell is he talking about, Judge Brand? Are you stupid, moronic? If there's no evidence to support their claims, then how in the hell was it necessary for a judge to order Pennsylvania or Philadelphia County to allow the observers to do their job? And then if there's no evidence of fraud here, why did the Attorney General of Pennsylvania countersue to have that judge's opinion overturned all on Election Day? That alone throws enough shade on this election that you have to say that there's merit to their arguments. Are these captured judges? Are they morons? Are they stupid? What the hell's wrong with these people? My goodness. Unbelievable. In its appeal to the Third Circuit, the Trump campaign did not request that Brand's ruling be reversed. Instead, the campaign requested that it be allowed to submit an amended version of its legal complaint. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. But even the pared down argument was rejected by the appeals court. The campaign appeals on a very narrow ground whether the district court abused its discretion not letting the campaign amend its complaint. It did not. Okay, says Stephanos Bibas. Okay, so I'm sorry. Brand was the district court in Williamsport. I'm confusing the appellate court here. Pennsylvania law is willing to... Okay, here you go. The appellate court wrote that most of the claims in Trump campaign's latest complaint boil down to issues of state law. Yeah, okay. Pennsylvania law is willing to overlook many technical defects. It favors counting votes as long as there's no fraud. The campaign tries to repackage these state law claims as unconstitutional discrimination, yet its allegations are vague and conclusionary. It never alleges that anyone treated the Trump campaign or Trump votes worse than it treated the Biden campaign, and federal law does not require poll watchers or specify how they may observe. It also says nothing about curing technical... Okay. That's not the issue. That's not the issue here is the state of Pennsylvania failing to adhere to its own laws. That's the issue at hand. Why are they talking about it's not a federal law? No, there is no federal law when it comes to election, you morons. This is a state law that the state has failed to adhere to. What is the recourse for a citizen when the state violates its own laws? If a cop comes into my house without a warrant and arrests me and drags me off the jail without a warrant, what is my recourse if the state abuses me? It is the federal court system. The federal courts adjudicate when a state fails. That's why we have cases like Marbury versus Madison. That's why we have McCulloch versus Maryland. These are court cases went before the federal bench. In that case, both of them the Supreme Court. When you must adjudicate the failure of a state to adhere to its own laws, you must go to federal court. Why is the federal court saying these are state issues, that they have no purview here? The state violated the law. They refused to accept the law that existed on the statutes for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They violated the law. What is our recourse? To take up arms? What? Seriously, this is insane. Absolutely insane. An appeals court said it's Pennsylvania law. Pennsylvania is willing to overlook many technical defects. Technical defects that prevented 682,000 ballots from being confirmed. The state is willing to overlook 8% of the total ballots cast in the state. Never mind Delaware County, the 400,000 ballots there that have been invalidated by the lack of a chain of custody, by the polling officials themselves. They invalidated Delaware County. Their actions are not legitimate. Those votes cannot be counted. How any court of law could overlook that and how the Trump campaign could not present that information in the appeals court is beyond imagination. What the hell is going on here? Bibas also noted that the slice of mail-in ballots being challenged by the Trump administration is far smaller than Biden's margin of victory. Excuse me? Excuse me? Are you dumb? Let me help you out, Judge Bibas. 682,000 ballots in Philadelphia and Allegheny counties. The margin of victory for Joe Biden, the supposed margin, is 81,000. How in the world are mail-in ballots margin smaller than 81,000? Last time I checked, that was 8 times that figure. 8 times, 682,000. Not good at math, but I'm a lot brighter than they are. 3 digits versus 2 digits. How is this margin of difference? How is it not larger with the ballots that we're accusing? 682,000 ballots? And it really doesn't matter if the ballot difference is not there. If people have been disenfranchised, the court should have an interest in ensuring they're franchised. Not, well, the margin is too small. Who cares? Who cares if it doesn't overturn the election? This level of fraud should not be permitted in any election. Whether Trump wins the election or not isn't germane to the issue at hand. The fraud is what is at hand. And the difference isn't germane. The court's responsibility is to ensure that the state applies its laws and does so legitimately and equally. They have not done so. Pennsylvania's Attorney General and Secretary of State and Governor have defrauded 7.4 million Pennsylvania voters and 12 million residents of the state of Pennsylvania. That's a fact. You can't question that. They made public statements they're going to violate the law, and they did violate the law. Come on. What are we talking about here? This is insanity. Insanity. Plus, tossing out millions of mail-in ballots would be drastic and unprecedented, disenfranchising huge swath of the electorate and upsetting all down-ballot races too, calling that remedy grossly disproportionate. It's not grossly disproportionate. When the Secretary of State and the Attorney General announce they're going to violate the law before the election, watch my streams, I said that is fraudulent and this election is invalid. Invalid. This election is invalid. Invalid. They made it invalid. They made my vote not count. If you're from Pennsylvania and you voted, they made your vote not count. Whether you voted for Biden or Trump, it isn't germane. What's germane here is the Secretary of State, the partisan political hack the day before the election on the 2nd of November, on a Monday, announced that Donald Trump will never win Pennsylvania. Excuse me? You were the Attorney General for the state of Pennsylvania, not for the Democratic National Committee, not for the Biden campaign, not for the Trump campaign. What is that nonsense? Your job is to adjudicate the law as the Attorney General. You have failed. You should resign, sir. Once again, Josh Shapiro, I offer my pen. I will hand carry it to Harrisburg to help you sign your resignation letter. Disgraceful conduct on your part. Absolutely disgraceful. This is ridiculous. What kind of judge court system makes decisions like this? This is nonsense. Utter nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. It's utter nonsense. Trump is the people's president, says Judy Haba. Yeah, more so than anybody since Reagan, I would argue. MF still thinks Donald Trump in America will get through with I hope we get through this. Erica says, beginning to look more like the deep state world domination puppets will get rid of Trump, take away people's freedom through fair, or foul means. Yeah, no, it does look like the way. Daniel Prinsloo says, Colonel, relax, your blood pressure is taking a strain. Nah, it's good, man. Watch, you ready for this? Okay, wait. About 70, 65, 70. Not bad. Probably about 125 over 75 right now. So my blood pressure is fine, man. I'm good. But thanks for the super chat. Do I need more rants and get more super chats? Thank you so much for the super chat. Daniel Prinsloo is very much appreciated by me. And that is a passive voice construction for those who are grammar Nazis. I did use the passive voice right there. That's correct. I sure did. And Lynn says, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Probs typing on YouTube. Let's see, Pet Zoo, Film Recruit, Shack Dweller, whole CD music. Oh, that's old. My chat is not up to date here. Let me reload this chat. Okay, in Dab Africa channel, please like and subscribe. Thank you, Shack Dweller. Appreciate that. Look at that Shack Dweller earning his bones as a moderator. Look at that. People are questioning whether I should make Shack Dweller moderator. Daniel Prinsloo says, great entertainment. Are you having a COVID test? No, Pet Zoo Film Crew. I can't get a COVID test because I'm not allowed to enter the clinic. But I did enter the clinic. Nobody was there, though. So, yeah, I can't go to the clinic to get a COVID test because they don't provide COVID tests. They'll only give a COVID test if I have symptoms. So if I'm sick, I can go there and get tested. If I active duty am traveling and required to travel, then I can get a test. But other than that, they won't give a test. So they've referred me to the insurance provider, and the insurance provider's phone system was down for 3 hours the other day when I tried to call. Then they were down for another 3 hours later in the day. So basically made it impossible for me to get a COVID test because Thursday was Thanksgiving. It was a holiday. Nobody was doing COVID tests. Today's Friday. I can't get the results in time, so I cannot fly to Ghana tomorrow. I cannot fly. Gareth, if you, I don't want to mislead you here, but I was told that you can get it in New Zealand. I know you can get it in Australia. So hang on a second. Let me just do a link here very quickly for you. I'll show you the store, and you can double check. And if you can't get New Zealand, then I'll offer my humble apologies for that. But let me log into my account here really quick and get the store location. Oh, there it is. Hendo's already put it up. That should take you there. Let me see if that actually works. It takes you there. Let me see. No, that doesn't. Oh, yeah. Leave YouTube. Let me make sure it gets me there. Come on. Hang on. It says hang on tight. Yep, that'll take you there. The link that Hendo gave you will take you to my store, Chris White Africa, on Teespring. And you can buy tote bags. Nobody's bought a mask, but you can buy a mask. They're kind of, I wouldn't want it. There's pullovers. There's hoodies. There's T-shirts. There's a sack of cock mug. There's a pouch to carry your ill-gotten gains and your cash in transit heist, if you're one of those folks. There's ladies' tank tops. There's onesies for children. There's a canvas print, as well as phone covers and such. And then some really nice hoodies at the bottom there. The Indaba Slate Zip hoodie, which is pretty cool, and the Indaba Classic Navy hoodie. So check those out. Anyway, so Gareth, let me know if you can get it in New Zealand. That'd be pretty cool to know if you can get it, just to know if you can buy it. You don't have to go buy it if you don't want it, but just look and see if you can actually buy it. Anyway, Daniel says, great. You're still fine, Colonel. I salute you. Well, thank you, MF. Thank you very much. Anyway, so folks, let me get back to what's going on here. So let's talk about news in South Africa. I have no news on Botswana. It's desperately quiet. No news on Namibia, other than the elections, which apparently SWAPO got their hat handed to them. We'll be doing some videos on that sometime soon, so look for that. But let me just read this today. This is from Jeanette Shabalala. Jeanette Shabalala from News 24 posted this story today about the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court handed down judgment in a complex legal matter which will have important bearing on the National Prosecuting Authority's prosecution of economic freedom fighter leader Julius Malema for allegedly inciting people to occupy land. He didn't allegedly do it. We all heard him. There's no allegedly. But to be fair, this is correct news reporting. It is allegedly until he's convicted of. That's a legitimate statement. So I'm not beating up on News 24. That's a factual statement. But he did it. It's no question. There's no doubt. On Thursday, the Apex Court set aside an order of the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. Once again, the Gauteng High Court, which has failed us all. They upheld the racist decision to prevent the Tourism Relief Fund from providing funds to minority-owned tourism businesses. Remember that? The Gauteng High Court is the one that upheld that. Of course, they also declared that most of the lockdown measures that the National Coronavirus Command Council, gosh, my camera's acting up again. Most of the lockdown measures that the National Coronavirus Command Council, what's going on here? Hang on a second. I got to shut my camera off, folks. It's acting up. Come on. It won't even shut down now. That's pathetic. All right, give me a second. I'll reopen it. But most of those things were deemed to be unconstitutional. Yet the National Coronavirus Command Council continues with its games. Judy Haba says, firing squad, Trump, put that back in play. What's that? Trump should remain president because of all the crimes, the left and Biden. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's legitimate, but I appreciate the sentiment. So that's a little bit better. Anyway, so the High Court last year found that the Riotous Assemblies Act was constitutionally invalid, to the extent that it requires someone found guilty of inciting others to commit a crime to be punished with the same severity as the person who actually committed the crime. I don't know why that. I mean, if people commit a murder because you told them to commit the murder, how can you not be complicit in that, and why should you not suffer the same penalty? That's just crazy. However, handing down judgment on Friday, Chief Justice Mokhang penned the majority judgment, said the court held that the meaning of the word libel in Section 18, subsection 2, subsection B of the Act does not connote absence of judicial discretion, which meant that the court has discretion in sentencing for people who are inciting violence. That seems reasonable. He said its correct meaning is that the inciter is susceptible to the same punishment as the actual perpetrator. But that's what the Act says. See, this is why it's confusing. The declaration of unconstitutionality by the High Court is therefore unsustainable, and the order it made will not be confirmed. Mokhang said the order of the Gauteng Division of the High Court, Pretoria, declaring Section 18, subsection 2, Section B of the Riotous Assemblies Act 17 of 1966 unconstitutional, invalid to the limited extent of dealing with the sentence, is set aside. So confusing back and forth. The bottom line is this, is that the Gauteng High Court last year declared that act unconstitutional. The Constitutional Court has now declared that their ruling was invalid, that in fact that act is constitutional. And what does this mean? The bottom line is this, ladies and gentlemen. Julius Malema has been inciting his fighters to violence, telling them shoot the boar, kill the boar. That would be a white farmer. So that's what they're saying. So now, because of that, and also him telling his supporters to go take land, it's our land, take it, occupy it, kick the Boer out. That is punishable. He's now liable, and he always was liable, but the North Gauteng High Court covered his ample backside last year by declaring that law unconstitutional. The Constitutional Court has said it is constitutional, and that they've set aside the judgment by the North Gauteng High Court. So take that, Juju. And by the way, let's lay some charges for his inciting violence against Clicks. Clicks is a majority-owned business with BEE level 6, if I'm not mistaken, at least according to the Prier van Heerden in his Tresemme song. So let's go ahead and file some charges against Julius Malema for inciting his followers, his fighters, to attack Clicks. Remember, 44 Clicks locations across South Africa were attacked by EFF supporters and members who were damaging the stores, looting them, and even threw a petrol bomb, a Molotov cocktail at one of the stores, preventing people who are customers from getting access to the life-saving medication and inciting violence and doing massive damage. Of course, that's the same jackasses who claim they went to Senegal on the 16th of October to protect state property. But they have no problem with destroying private property, as well as inciting his followers to arson. His party incited the EFF followers to commit arson by burning out farmers, and they did it within 48 hours. We saw massive, wide-scale, pervasive arson committed across the Northern Free State and in the Northern Cape. Hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland destroyed, tens of thousands of head of cattle and sheep and wildlife, game, as well as farmers injured, their laborers injured, tractors, homes, businesses destroyed. Yes, he's liable for that. This guy should never see the light of day again and be in prison for a very long time based on the crimes he's committed. And now he's liable for them. He was always liable, but there you go, folks. There you go. There you go. What problem do you have with me pronouncing Gauteng? Why do you have a problem with Gauteng? Gauteng is not an Afrikaans word, so I don't have to say Gauteng. It's Gauteng. It is not an Afrikaans word. It's an African word. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that pronunciation? Listen to SABC. You'll see how many people pronounce exactly the same way I say it. Come on, give me a break here. Anyway, Moheng also said, its correct meaning is that the inciter is susceptible to the same punishment as the actual perpetrator. The declaration of unconstitutionality by the High Court is therefore unsustainable, and the order will not be confirmed. There you go. He further said, the Chief Justice said the following: Mr. Julius Sello Malema and the Economic Freedom Fighters' prayer for an order declaring that the Trespass Act 6 of 1959 does not apply to unlawful occupiers under the Prevention of Illegal Evictions from an Unlawful Occupation of Land Act 19 of 1998 is refused. In 2014-2016, Malema called on people to occupy vacant land. The National Prosecuting Authority instituted charges against Malema under the same sections of the act. The Economic Freedom Fighters and Malema then approached the High Court to set aside the decision to prosecute the party's leader. They also sought to declare the section of the act unconstitutional and to reinterpret the Trespass Act to mean that it is no longer a crime. EFF also challenged the act on the basis that it was apartheid legislation, which was enacted in response to the adoption of the Freedom Charter at the Congress of the People in 1955. Yeah, the problem with these laws came about in 1966 and 1959, not 1955. And the Freedom Charter is not germane. It's not a legal document. It's a declaration by a collection, an amalgamation of parties written largely by white South African Jews, not by the ANC. So just make a little historical fact there, point it out there. But the Freedom Charter has no bearing whatsoever. And besides, the ruling government doesn't follow the Freedom Charter. They violate the precepts of the Freedom Charter on a daily basis. So how is it germane? It's not a legal document. It has no bearing or weight in South African law. And so it really doesn't matter. And by the way, laws passed under apartheid are perfectly legitimate so long as they aren't racially discriminatory and treat people differently. The Trespass Act applies to everybody. If you violate someone's land and you're white and it's their black land, the Trespass Act applies, and it is legitimate. So there you go. Advocate Tembeka Ngutukutobi, on behalf of the EFF and Malema, argued earlier this year that the section of the Riot Act was out of place in South Africa's new constitution. Well, they're wrong. They're wrong, as determined by the Constitutional Court itself. So there you go. But the titles of the news stories are very misleading, give people the impression the EFF actually won today. They did not win. For instance, the News 24 article, the headline from Jeanette Shababala Shabalabala's article says Concord finds criminalizing inciting others to commit any offense is overboard. That's not what they said. It's a very misleading clickbait article. In this one from Citizen, EFF leader Julius Malema challenged the Riotous Assemblies Act as part of a last-ditch attempt to dodge criminal prosecution. Yeah, that's no longer the case, folks. This is we're past that point. Anyways, today, 27th of November, 2020, a big victory for law and order in South Africa. And Julius Malema is in deep caca. Ooh, that kimchi starting to smell pretty bad there, Juju. You might want to get some Tresemme to help get that smell out of your hair. I can recommend Tresemme. Look at these beautiful, beautiful hair. Look at that. It's lovely, isn't it? Isn't it? Look beautiful. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoy it. The Pet Zoo film crew says, well, Juju will struggle with Brockenfeld, Kraaifontein, and Doos from Belleville. We know our enemy because we are living peacefully since in the new South Africa. We need to get rid of these politicians. Rhodesia inspires dignity and grace. Shack Dweller's putting up the Telegram group. Folks, we hit 100 subscribers and members to the Telegram group today. It's open to the public, the Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel on Telegram. If you'd like to join it, it's open to the public. The link was posted earlier. Feel free to join it. You can chat, share things in there. You don't have to be a paying member of Chris White Africa. Just go and check it out. We've got 90 people currently watching. I bet at least 10 of you aren't members of that group. Feel free to go watch it. Probably more aren't members. But if you, by the way, Telegram is one that protects your privacy much better than, say, WhatsApp, because it doesn't expose your mobile numbers. So if you want to protect that, your email and your mobile number, you can become a member of the Telegram group for free. Just download the app for your mobile phone, and you can go ahead and join the Telegram group. So feel free to do that, folks. Look forward to having you on there. Have the conversation going well. Appreciate it. We hit 100, triple figures, 100 members of that channel today. By the way, for members of Chris White Africa, we have over 200 plus members of the channel. But remember that if you have a subscription, YouTube does not automatically renew about 1/3 of the subscriptions. I don't know why. So some people are members, they get unsubscribed, it doesn't renew. And so my numbers go up, then they come back down, then they go up a little bit more, then they come down, they go up a little more. So anyway, if you want to be a subscriber and support the channel, feel free to do that. Currently, as a member's perks, there is a video from Ohio University's College Green in Athens, Ohio. I was there, was it last week, the week before, when I visited my mother. I went to Athens, which is where I was a student, and received my bachelor's degree in history and German from there. Ohio University is a beautiful campus, lovely scenic location in the hills, not really mountains, but the hills of Appalachia in southeastern Ohio. It's the oldest institution of higher learning in the old Northwest Territories, which eventually became Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Those 5 states came out of the old Northwest Territories, the first westward expansion of the United States. We received that territory from Great Britain. And Ohio University was the first institution of higher learning, created in 1804. And its first class commenced in 1807. And since then, it's been cranking out graduates at the undergraduate and postgraduate level. And we have hundreds of thousands of graduates of Ohio University, including myself. So that video is available for members' perks for a few days. And then after a few days, I'll open up to the public. You can check it out. So there you go, folks. One of the things you get as a member, sometimes you see photographs, some news items, sometimes private videos that we put up for members. So if you want to become a member of Chris White Africa, smash that membership button down there. If you have a credit card on file with Alphabet or Google or YouTube, your account, you'll be able to do it. If you are curious about the membership, it's not about money, folks. Trust me, I don't make much money off the memberships. But I do appreciate when people are able to do it at the platoon leader and at the master commander level. That's awesome. That actually makes a little bit of money. But for instance, if you become a member in the U.S. at the recruit team member, that's the entry level, it's $2 a month. However, in South Africa, YouTube charges you the grand total of R9.99. So for 10 Rand, you can become a member. Anyway, there you go. So Sloat Steenkamp is back. I haven't seen you in a few days. How you doing? I see you got the turkeys up there. We had Thanksgiving yesterday here in the States. Pet Zoo Film Crew and Telegram gives you more downloading space. Send Chris all Josie's music porn videos. What are you talking about? Henry Ford says, I live in Kraaifontein. We acted like they went... What's that? Tell me what happened in Kraaifontein there, Henry Ford. I'm sorry, it zipped. Okay. Oh yeah, Shaq Dweller. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, you want to find me on LinkedIn. Let's see what else. It's unfortunate that Chief Justice Maltahohe's term of office is ending in the near future. Let's hope his replacement is independent. Yeah, he has proven to be quite independent, whether you agree with him or not. He's made calls that I disagree with, but he has been independent. So you got to give the guy credit for that. Henry Ford says, I live in Kraaifontein. We acted like they weren't even here today. Oh, weren't even here today. Okay, well, thanks a lot. Yeah, and you'll notice that I've been covering all these events, folks, including Senecal on the 6th of October, on the 16th of October, and then the Vitkreuz Monument, the biker rally, the car rally, the Black Monday rally, and then, of course, Senecal when they showed up last week on Friday, the 20th of November. I've covered all those things, but I didn't cover Kryfontaine today. It was twofold. Number one, I wanted to be fresh for Valerie for our stream. Valerie wasn't here, so it turned out to be a moot reason not to be up. Also, I didn't expect there was going to be much to see, and it turns out there wasn't much to see. Joe Amelia went and filmed it, I understand, and so if you want to watch it, you can go there. Also, I guess Debbie Ells was there as well, and Debbie Ells, apparently she provided live footage for Scott Balson's Loving Life channel. Haven't seen it, so if you want to watch it, go to Joe Amelia or go to Scott Balson's channel, Loving Life, and check out that footage if you'd like. Anyway, while you're there, feel free to tell people that Chris White recommended you come there. That way the liars that are on that channel who come to my channel and tell Scott fairy tales about what I say about Loving Life can be disputed, since I can't comment on that channel. For some reason, YouTube is not permitting me to comment on Scott Balson's channel. So anyway, so be sure to tell them that Chris Wyatt recommended that you come here, because the myths and the fairy tales and lies by some sycophants that are on that channel are really disturbing, and the lies. Scott comes to my channel and posts a comment and accuses me of attacking his channel, which I never did. I promoted his channel. It's just vile. So I don't blame Scott. He's listening to people who lie about the content on this channel. Shame on them. Anyway, what else we got here? YouTube subscription memberships. Oh, yeah, thanks for that, Hendo. Yeah, if you want to become a member, that you can learn. By the way, that video I made for everybody on YouTube because it's a little confusing about memberships and subscriptions and super chats and chatting. For instance, a lot of people discover when they're trying to do a super chat on a mobile, it doesn't work sometimes. It just depends on the mobile. It depends on the network. It just sometimes works. Sometimes it doesn't. Most times it doesn't. Sometimes you can't, you cannot like a video on a mobile. Now, I didn't address that in the video, but I addressed, what it means to be a member of a channel, how it works. I described the membership of my channel. I talked about super chats versus subscriptions and memberships. So it's actually, I'm pretty proud of that video. It helps everybody out. Members only stream. Erica says, oh, you're talking to Lynn. Does the 10 Rand have the rhino on it? I have one of them. It did, but they started putting faces on the bill, so I'm not sure which it is now. They just got rid of a few bins here. We didn't give them any attention. Mutual agreement among us here to stop giving them attention. There you go, Henry. And that's another reason. I didn't really state it, but that's one reason why, too. I knew it wasn't going to be that big, so why give them any extra oxygen? The EFF wants attention. They're attention-seeking whores. That's what they are. And they want attention. That's why they cause all this chaos. And so, if you give them attention, like at Senecal, then they're happy, and it just encourages them to do more. They have been useless during the lockdown. They've filed no court cases against the unconstitutional governance of the ANC's National Coronavirus Command Council. They've delivered 0 food parcels to people, as far as I know. They're certainly not crowed about it. They've done very little to help South Africans overcome the lockdown, except sit on their asses and collect their paycheck as members of parliament and ward councillors in the places they have a few ward council seats. It's disgusting. It's vile, but it is the EFF. That's who they are. So their answer for lockdown is destroy, burn, loot, and cause havoc and attack people. So I don't see the EFF going to KwaZulu-Natal and protesting racism because there's no white teachers there, or there are no white students in these schools in KwaZulu-Natal. They're not protesting that. No, they're showing up in Brackenfell and saying that it's racist because there's no black teachers. Well, maybe there's no qualified black teachers to teach there. Maybe that's why there's no black teachers there. And why is it there are no white teachers teaching at these all-black schools in KZN? Probably because there's no white teachers living nearby. Maybe that's why. Maybe it has nothing to do with racism. In fact, it has nothing to do with racism would be my argument. We'd see. Cato says, Gareth Jones, Colonel's not a snowflake. What? What did Gareth say? Cato, no smoking, Chris pronouncing. What? What are you guys arguing about? Yes, no says, but when I check the map, that area is like 60% color, 35% white. Are they going after the colors now? Well, yes, no, they are going after colors. They've been going after colors all along. The EFF does go after colors. It is absolutely. Schadenfreude is back. Good to see you again. Tony says malls can stay open, but a small corner store has to close. Why? Because they're trying to shut down small businesses and crush that. By the way, folks, in most countries, the small enterprise is the engine of growth. In the United States, most job growth is through small businesses. Those that employ less than 50 or less than 100 employees are the ones that grow and create the most jobs. Same in Germany. In Germany, it's not BMW and Allianz who are these other big companies? Anyway, and BASF. Well, that's Swiss actually, but it isn't those big companies like that. Krupp. It isn't those companies. BMW. No, the jobs are created in Germany by the Mittelstand. The Mittelstand. That's the small businesses. That's the lifeblood of Germany. It's the same in the United States. So they want to destroy that, because when they destroy that, then that stops job creation. The big companies don't create many jobs. They do not create many jobs. It's rare that they expand and create jobs. They often rely on automation to prevent people and keep people out of the labor force. So they want to stop that to make people dependent on the state. That's exactly what it's about. Monkey pushing wood. Good to see you there. AOC has been making lists like Santa. Oh, she's a fascist and she's making lists. By the way, folks, tomorrow my Santa suit is supposed to arrive. Yay. Kind of excited about that. We'll try it on and maybe we'll see it on a stream this weekend. But tomorrow I have Dean Chancey on the channel. So we won't talk about it then. But anyway, unless it comes before he's on. But I don't think it'll arrive then. So Monkey Pushing Wood says the AOC, what's this? Yes, no says they forgot what the British did in 1879. What, against the Zulu in the Anglo-Zulu War? Mastermind behind the chaos is Lucifer. Destruction and misery are the ways. Well, thank you, Strong Together. That sounds... Corley is back. Good to see you, Corley, and welcome. Evening to you. Ian Thompson, President Trump will sort South Africa's problems. Well, assuming he stays president, we got some serious concerns here now. Cato says good night. Lynn, are you out here? Have a good night, Lynn. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. And let's see. Does 10 Rand... Oh, my chat just keeps being out of date. Here we go. All right. Now it's caught up. Were you stationed in USER, says Tom? Yes. As an enlisted soldier, I was stationed not at USER, but under USER. United States Army Europe is what he's asking about. I served in the 8th Signal Battalion in the 8th Infantry Division in Bad Kreuznach, Germany, in Rheinland-Pfalz from 1984 to 1987. I arrived as a private and I departed as a sergeant and returned to University at Ohio University. So yeah, I did serve under USER then. I later served under the United States Army Europe when I was a lieutenant and then a captain, first serving in the 3rd Battalion, 8th Cavalry in Gelnhausen, Germany, at the barracks there. And then after that, I served in the 4th Brigade, 1st Armored Division in Hanau at Fliegerhorst Kaserne, and that was also part of the United States Army Europe. And that was the extent of my United States Army. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Well, yes, it is true. That was it, because when I served in Italy from 97 to 99, I was actually under INSCOM. That's the Intelligence and Security Command, not under United States Army Europe. So a little bit of a confusion thing. So I was not under, but I served in Europe 4 tours actually, 3 in Germany and 1 in Italy. So 4 tours, and 2 of them were under USER. 1 was under Africa Command, which is a joint command, multi-service, and then the other one was under the Intelligence and Security Command. So I served under 4 different major commands in Europe, or 3 different commands and 4 different tours. So there you go. Anyway, what's that? Daniel Prinslew's chat or super chat still up there, says my blood pressure. I still see that. Thank you, Daniel. That was a while ago. Martin de Groot says, I joined the Air Force and did a number of trips to Dragon Peaks Park where we had CL Colonel von Vine, I don't know, CL von Weingard Airfield. I'm almost attended the school. Yes, no says, I'm so rooting for Trump. Yeah, yes, so am I. Strong Together, Uncle Chris just needs to grow his hair now, and he'll look like Gandalf the Grey. Yeah, actually going to get this cut sometime soon, folks. It's getting a little wavy there for me. Not to my liking here. I prefer my hair straight, but when it gets this length, it's decided to start getting kind of curly there. I don't care for the curl, so I may cut it short again. But MF says the government and its followers swallowed all the money that were supposed for relief funds for citizens in South Africa during the lockdown. It's magically disappeared. Yeah. Well, not just that. What about all the money that private citizens donated? Who got that? What's the record on that? Where's the money from the Unemployment Insurance Fund? Why can't they pay out the money from that? It doesn't exist. What about the $5.6 billion, ladies and gentlemen? $285 million from the African Development Bank, $1 billion from the BRICS Bank or the New Development Bank, and $4.3 billion from the International Monetary Fund delivered in July and August. That's $5.6 billion or 90 billion rand. Where's that money at, folks? Gone. No transparency whatsoever. Cato said, I noticed in the Thanksgiving communication with the U.S. President, only the representative of the Space Force followed the example of the Commander-in-Chief and spoke without a face, nappy muzzle. I didn't see it. What I did see was a clip from Salty Crack or whatever that guy is, in which Trump he just smacked down a disrespectful, rude so-called journalist who kept interrupting him. And he said, you don't talk to the President of the United States. Shut up. Shut up. You don't talk. I'm the president of the United States. Shut up. It was great. It was great. I loved it. It was amazing. Tony says, I look funny. I shave my head almost, and my beard looks like my face is upside down. Well, these beards get kind of big there, man. This one's pretty thick, too. It's not just the hair on my head. Look at that. I can actually, this would serve as a mask. There you go. So there's my COVID mask, folks. It covers my nose. We're good to go. Check it out. What do you think of that? How's that? You like that? Check it out. It covers up. Anyway, there you go. Quite lengthy there. Anyway, so that's my beard. Anyway, what else? Okay, folks, let me see what else we got here. We're going to cover a few more things very quickly. So what's going to happen in Section 230? Are you asking yes, no about Section 230 of the Telecommunications Act that allows Twitter and Facebook and other social media to not be prosecuted for the content creators' content? Is that Section 230 you're talking about? Bosch Deborah says, for interest's sake, have you been on any aircraft carriers and submarines during your time in service? I have been on a submarine and I have been on a battleship and a cruiser. I have never been on an aircraft carrier. I'm 1/4 your beard, says Tony. Henry says, is there a chance I can join your stream for a while during the late night now session? Possibly, Henry. About what? What do you want to talk about? Amir Alston, where have you been hiding out, my friend? What do you think about the mainstream media creating a false narrative? I think it's disgraceful. I've been talking about it extensively for the past month before the election and since the election. About the office of the president-elect. Well, that's fraudulent. There's no such thing as the office of the president-elect. That's just ego for the demented, senile Joe Biden to stroke him. No such thing. Incoming presidents don't create offices of the president-elect. That's nonsense. Utter nonsense. It's like them denying that Facebook saying that Donald Trump is a political candidate. He's not a political candidate. He's the president of the United States. If you don't like that, if you're butthurt about that, too bad. And regardless of what happens between now and then, until January 20th, he's the president of the United States. So get over it and stop being such petty little winners. You know, they're not only petty losers on the Democrat side, they're also petty winners. Anyway, so not that they've won. Natural COVID mask. There you go. Exactly right, Hendo. I don't need a mask. I've got my own. And it's probably much more effective than the little diapers we put on our faces. He told the propaganda lemming that he was a lightweight. That's right. You're a lightweight. That's great. Remember, he was speaking to the president of the United States like a boss with class. That's right, Cato. Spot on. That's what Donald Trump did. And that's what should have been said. Now, he should have been saying it for a long time. These clowns are so rude and disrespectful, interrupting all the time, acting, like they're somebody important. Jim Acosta, what a useless oxygen thief that guy is. Anyway, that started with Obama. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. They never interrupted Obama in that fashion or disrespectful Obama. Come on. I watched the press conference with Obama for years. The Democrats are communists and socialists posing as Democrats. Many of them are, Emil. And some of them are not even posing. They say, right, look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Basically says she is. Bosch Deborah says, thanks. That's pretty cool. Which do you prefer more, ship, submarine, or dry land? Dry land. Dry land. Water is for bathing and consumption and for cleaning. Not for recreation, not for transport. My ancestors were Vikings, which is the irony. They travel the seas with their Viking sunstones and their shade dials, which gave them excellent navigation and were brilliant. And so long before the magnetic compass, long before the lensatic compass, they were transversing the seas on accurate azimuths because they could measure it courtesy of the calcite that they used in the Viking sunstones and the sundials they had. It's now been proven. People had supposition this was the case for decades, if not centuries, and they finally proved it. We finally proved it. We actually had someone do this about 5 or 7 years ago who actually went out and did this. Pretty cool, and navigated an actual recreation Viking ship with a Norwegian crew. And they actually navigated in cloudy conditions where the sun wasn't visible using a sunstone made out of calcite and also using the shade dial. And they were spot on with their measurements, which show that the Vikings were doing this for a millennia or hundreds of years before anyone else was doing it. Amazing navigators, but you're not getting me on a Viking boat. Good night, Strong Together. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you tuning into the show. I'm going to call it here shortly for everybody, but I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. And the latest news is South Africa is captured by the Chinese mafia. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of evidence of that. I mean, why would you deny the Dalai Lama a visa to come to Archbishop Desmond Tutu's 80th birthday? Why would you deny the Dalai Lama a visa to come to South Africa for a anti-racism conference? Unless the Chinese were giving your marching orders from Beijing, which is what they gave the ANC, and they followed it to the letter. Looks like a lot of people getting ready to leave. Emil says, take the knee and ask your, Paulie, your significant other to marry Neil before God. There you go. That's Paulie and asked that. Henry Ford says, I want to give you a different perspective of what's going on in South Africa as a 22-year-old. Oh, okay, Henry. Are you capable and willing and able to call in now, Henry? Do you have Zoom on your device? Could we try it now? Otherwise, we'll save it for another call. MF says Donald Trump is president of the United States. That's right. That's right. He keeps America great. He cares about citizens of America, not like in South Africa. Yeah, so you tell me very quickly, Henry, if you're able to do that, and then we'll see. Was referring about the false office president-elect that did not start with, sorry, yes, no, I don't recall. You might be correct. I don't recall. You might be correct. Sorry about that. Yes, no. See, that's the problem with chat. I missed part of it. I didn't catch what the reference was to. So thank you for that. By the way, folks, just make a correction here once again. I believe in facts and getting things correct. If I get something mistaken or I misstate something, that's not getting it wrong. So in a stream a couple days ago, I was railing on dingy Harry Reid. Harry Reid, who is from Nevada. And I think I said on the stream, I went back and watched it, it said Utah. Not from Utah. He's from Nevada. I did mention he's LDS, but my knowledge, that's a true statement. I heard him say he was LDS once. At least that's what I understood him say. But Harry Reid, the senator from Nevada, who was the Senate Majority Leader during Obama's dark years, he lied about Mitt Romney. And it was devastating to Mitt Romney, accusing him of things he never did. After the election, it was proven that he lied. Harry was caught. He was interviewed. And they said, well, you misstated this. You lied. You said that Mitt Romney did this and he didn't do it. And Harry Reid's response was, yeah, it worked. So what? He's not president. Oh, wow. That's the length that these scumbag Democrats will go to. They'll lie, they'll steal, they'll cheat, they'll do anything to get power for themselves and their elite friends in industry, in the finance world. That's what they are. That's who they are. Emil says Dalai Lama is involved in child trafficking and is a good friends with all the Democratic Party leaders. That's news to me. I have no evidence of that whatsoever. Emil, why would the Dalai Lama be involved in child trafficking? It doesn't make any sense. Interesting, but thank you for sharing that. I'm unaware of that completely. The Pet Zoo film crew is not sure if Tudu anyway can give a llama a lekker party. They mediate holes in the wall. I have no idea what you're saying. Microsoft Teams, but I'll download Zoom real quick. No, I don't use Microsoft Teams. Anything I can do to avoid Microsoft, it's bad enough that they're my operating system and cause me all kinds of problems with their piss poor data and management and their piss poor memory management. At least we don't have the blue screen of death anymore. We put up with that for decades. Yeah, Microsoft is not the best option, but it is the most prevalent option. So there you go. Erica says smash the like button. Yeah, go ahead. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to smash like. Hey, while you're at it, if you want to super chat, if you're in the mood on a Lekker Lekker Freitagabend, feel free to super chat. I'm not going to stop you. Yeah, so 22 years old, would love to hear your opinion. Might be interesting, real facts or brainwashed opinion. Yeah, that's why I said I'll hold on. I was ready to go, but I'll hold on for him to get installed, and we'll see if we get him on there. Pet Zoo Film Crew says, Chris, and he typed my name wrong, you Americans needs to study proper English. I think what the Pet Zoo Film Crew was trying to say, that Americans need to study proper English. Is that what you're saying? Proper English. Well, we do. We speak proper English. We speak the American version of English. We don't misspell the word color. We spell it correctly. Just for all of you in South Africa and for England, the word color, C-O-U-L, C-O-L-O-U-R, is incorrect. This spelling is incorrect. That is not color. That is couleur. That is a French word. That is a bastardization of the English language from the Normans who invaded. My ancestors, my 34th great-grandfather, William the Bastard, subsequently known as William the Conqueror, brought Norman French language to the UK. And so that is not how you spell color. The correct spelling for color is the way it's pronounced. Color. Color, not couleur. That's French. This is English. And so for all the folks in the UK who are confused by your inability to spell the word correctly, let me help you out. It's color. By the way, there are lots of versions of the English language. There's an Indian version of the English language. There's a South African version. There is a UK version with different, regional variances. And there's an American version with regional variances. In America, if you are in Ohio in the Midwest, when people don't hear you, instead of saying, excuse me, if someone says something, excuse me, sorry, I didn't hear you. In the Midwest, we say, please. please. And why do we say please? Because that region was overwhelmingly settled by ethnic Germans. Bosch Zebra is given 70 Rand super sticker with a thumbs up. Thank you, Bosch Zebra. I guess you liked my take on English. So in the Midwest, we say please because it comes from German. In German, people say bitte. If you don't hear something, bitte. So you say bitte, which means please. So you get those regional variations in the language. And of course, in America, you get correct spellings of words. We don't add letters for no reason. Couleur. Color, it's color. No. Also in America, we use English properly too. But I do misspeak English intentionally so that it fits in with South Africans, but especially with UK. So let me explain to you something. So the correct way to say this is, let me do this for you very quickly. In the hospital. Okay. Okay. So when you ask someone in the UK, they ask me, how's your mother? Well, she's in hospital. Now, in hospital is not correct. That doesn't tell you about the hospital. It says in hospital. Well, that could be, what is that? In the hospital. My mother is in the hospital. That is proper English. This is English, and it's missing the relative article right there. The hospital. It's missing. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong, folks. In hospital. But I do say that. Also, by the way, folks, let me help you South Africans out here with a little bit of English lesson here, okay? Okay, let me help you out here. Okay. All right. So this is called a traffic signal. Traffic signal. It indicates when traffic can move by signaling to them. It is not a robot. R2-D2 is a robot. This is a traffic signal, not a robot. Robots are mechanical devices that do things. All a traffic signal does is change colors. That's it. It's a traffic signal, not a robot. And then Keith Alderson wants to say, who says police? Mostly black Americans say police. Also, folks, this is an interesting thing too. So let me tell you, most people pronounce my surname correctly. It's Wyatt. So it's very easy. It's pronounced Wyatt, but sometimes people get it wrong. That's Wyatt, right? Okay, and there's many spellings of it. There's W-I-A-T-T, W-I-O-T-T, W-Y-A-T-T, which is the most common. But people get it wrong, and they often say Watt. How do you get Watt out of this, okay? That's not Watt. How do you get this is Watt. And we had a former Interior Secretary under Reagan named James Watt. That's Watt. Watt is how you measure light bulbs, right? Watts, 35 watts, 50 watts. That's Watt. That's not Wyatt. That's Watt. So let me tell you something. 90% of the people who mispronounce my name, you want to guess what ethnicity they are in America? I don't know why. It's just a cultural thing. 90% of the people who mispronounce my name are black. About 10% are white. But it's Wyatt. I don't know why that is. It's a strange thing. But yes, police is mostly a pronunciation spoken by some black Americans. Not all, but some. The police. Yeah, there you go. Okay, right. Marguerite de la Harpe, let me help you with that. It is a trunk in the car. It's not the boot. We don't take our footwear and put it in the back of our car. That's a boot. This is a boot. That's a boot. There you go. That's a boot. The back of your car is not a boot. It's a trunk. Cato says, in counter argument, it is a traffic robot, not a signal, as one signal is not three traffic signals. That doesn't make any sense, Cato. What you just said doesn't make any sense. Here I'm showing off my boots and my legs, and the audience is growing. What's up with that? Nicolette van den Berg, wie lag die laatste, lag die lekkerste. That's good. I like that. So are we back? Do we get him installed? What's going on? Yes, Kipapila, what's that? Is it Kibalepile Shenya? My apologies for mispronouncing your name. I know I got it wrong. But in essay, it's a boot. Yes, I know. I'm just having a little fun with the English language here. And Americans say buddy when they pronounce the word body. No, we say body. Body, not buddy. And what is nobody? Nobody. Nobody. Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha, Swade. All right, so fries equal chips. Yeah. Chips are crisp. Crisp are not chips. You know, crisp, or what you guys call it, what the English call it, they're actually called chips. It's funny because in neighboring Botswana, because of Peace Corps volunteers, when the country was much smaller back in the 60s, they had an outsized influence with the English language in Botswana. There were so many American Peace Corps volunteers there in the 1960s. They introduced softball, which is an American game. It's very popular in Botswana, but not in South Africa so much. And a lot of people in Botswana, because of the Peace Corps volunteers, and then because when television became available, a lot of American programs were on there. So they use some British English and some American English. In Botswana, people don't say roundabout. They say traffic circle, which is funny. They use American English and not British English, which is kind of funny. And nobody says robot in Botswana. They say traffic light, you know. We put petrol in our car. Americans put gasoline. That's right, says Marauder. But you'll notice I often use the proper, not the proper, but the English or South African usage with petrol. I talk about it all the time when I fill my car up. Perhaps in South Africa, some call the trunk the kissed. Blairy Wyatt Knight Language School. There you go. Did we lose him? Where's our 22-year-old? I'm waiting for him. Is he up and ready to go? Where's he at? I don't see any comment from him. Dude, are you getting testing.01 SimLab? What is that? That's odd. Is that a troll coming in, or is that Stanley Grimley says, "Hi Chris, another great stream. Keep up the great work, especially the spelling lesson. Great." Yeah, no, absolutely. It all comes for most part from the French damaging our language. I'm just kidding. Actually, the addition of French and the Normans arriving made English a very diverse, very accepting language. It really made a more colorful language and gave us similar ways. So, for instance, in French, you only talk about one word, right? And that word is pork, right? So when you talk about the pig or you talk about the meat, you're talking about pork, right there, P-O-R-C, pork. That's it. That's the only word you have in French. But in English, we have ham, we have pork, we have swine, we have pig. We have all these different words to describe the meat and or the animal. And why is that? Because we got the words from Anglo-Saxon, from Scandinavian languages, Germanic. We got the words from French. So we had all these diverse inputs bringing different descriptions for this animal, all of which influence the English language. So isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Anyway, so there you go. Okay, so Henry Ford is still installing Zoom. Oh, come on, Henry. You're keeping us waiting, man. It's going to get dark here soon. Let's see. So, okay, Suede wants me to say water. Were you expecting me to say water? Water? No, I don't say water, but I do with family members say water. It is water. That is the word water. Don't they say mum instead of mom? That's correct, Duncan Yoda. That's correct. They say mum instead of mom. That is correct. Zoom is up. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to have to cancel this, so let's get that done. Folks, hang with me. The camera's coming down, so let me just turn it off so you don't, let me turn that camera off. And whoa, that shouldn't be up there. Whoa, you shouldn't be seeing that. There's state secrets there. Oh, I know why. That's why. Hang on. I can't get rid of it. It won't go away. There it is. It's gone. Okay, folks, hang on. I got to open up Zoom and open up a meeting for young Henry Ford, the man who invented the assembly line, mechanical assembly line. So here we go. Zoom. We'll do this. Oh, so let me do that very quickly. So let me let me get to the show. I want to get that link for the show and then send that to Monty Jackson. See if he wants to pop in and watch it if he's got time. He might not be able to because he just finished his program. So let me find this very quickly. Hang on, I'll send you the link in just a second. I know the screen's still blank, folks. Hang on there. Hang on. Just give me a second. It's coming up. Hang on, folks. Just be patient. Thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. Let me close Jezelle's songs, and then we'll get to Zoom. And here we go. Zoom for all participants. And I got to make that full screen. There we go. All right, so I'm back on the screen. I'll get you on there in just a second. Let me get you the link very quickly here. And there's a lot going on here, folks. Making the magic happen. Making the magic happen. That is for young Henry Ford. Pop in and give me a second because I'm going to have to put an earpiece in. But I want to get this link to send it to Monty Jackson just in case he wants to pop in if he's got a moment on his mobile. Okay, there we go. So, all right. So let me send this to Monty Jackson, who just finished his show about 10 minutes ago. Okay. All right, so that's taken care of. Now we're waiting for young Henry Ford. I've sent you the link. Where are you at, man? Where are you at, dude? You want to come in? We're doing it all for you. We're here for you, Henry Ford. Where's Henry Ford? Waiting for Henry Ford to join the stream. Hello, Henry Ford. All right, so there's another link. I'll send it again. Oh, that's not the link you want. You want the Zoom link. Sorry, that's not helpful. Let me get back to it. Oh, there he is, Henry Ford. Let me get my earpiece in so we don't get reverb. Oh, come on. Hang on a second. All my earpieces are all knotted up here. Just a second, folks. There we go. And here we go. All right, so. Right. Okay. All right, so got my earpiece in. Turn the volume up. Looks like Henry Ford is popping up there. Here he comes. Okay, lovely photograph there. And I'm going to guess Henry's the one on the right, not the one on the left. Is your camera going to come on? Is your camera going to come on?
I'm working on it.
Okay. All right. I'm guessing that's you on the right and not the lovely lady on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Is it still not showing?
Not your camera, just the photograph. You should have it. Are you on a mobile or a PC or something? Oh, there you go. Okay, now we can see.
Okay.
It. All right, hang on. Let me. But we're gonna fix this the way I normally do it. So hang on a second. Let me set this up. There you go. Like you're a proper guest on the program now. Okay, so Henry Ford. Is that really your name, or did you just pick that because you like assembly lines?
No, that's actually really my name.
Well,
I get the Ford thing a lot.
I'm sure you do. All right, so here we have a 22-year-old South African, which completely deflates the fairy tale myth that the trolls who come on my channel and claim that only old white people watch this channel. So maybe young white people watch it too. I assume you're white based on your skin pigmentation, but I don't know. You might be mixed race. You'd have to tell me.
No, I'm definitely white. Yeah. It's regarding watching your show. A lot of us at campus watches like Ronaldo, not much loving life because we see him as a hypocrite. Personal opinion, but people like Ronaldo, you and Big Daddy Liberty, we love him here in the Cape.
Now, we love him too, but we can never get him on the damn channel. The guy never checks his mail. He's worse than the postal service.
It takes him a while to get around. You can't blame him.
Yeah, no, I got it. He's a busy guy, but so am I.
He's a cool guy, yeah.
Yep.
Like what I said on in campus, our views politically is a lot different, and we are a lot more. I guess we are a lot more politically educated than what our parents used to be at our age, due to everything that's going on. Especially as born after apartheid, we have a very different view. We were raised in like in this kind of atmosphere of everything going on. We were raised in it. It's not new to us. We didn't have the previous lifestyle or anything, so it's very hard for us to obviously. We can't say, hey, those were good memories. A lot of us, when we basically go into campus and talk to one another, everyone would I'm studying information systems engineering, and a lot of people like either software development or anything, they would typically say, okay, but listen, after I have my degree, I'm going to immigrate. That's our view. And we get a lot of backlash, believe it or not, when we like talk to all the generations about, your sissies and stuff. That's why you want to immigrate. But actually, no, it's because we want to give a better lifestyle for our kids. So it's a very, very different situation. I mean,
That's a very sad situation that people think that their only hope is to leave their country. That's pathetic. It's really sad to see. By the way, Nicolette van den Berg said, "Be kind to your parents. We passed matric without Google."
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Another thing I also get from my dad. Thank you for that one.
Also, to be fair to Miss van den Berg, I should point out that I'm sure that you probably had to score higher than 30 on your entrance exams for matric to get into university. I'm just saying, Nicolette. Anyway.
No. We had to. I think the minimums on maths was 70. So yeah, you definitely can't pass with 50. And also, I studied, for instance, at Pearson Institute. It's a private institute in Durbanville in Cape Town. Now, Pearson is very it's very different in terms of the level of education you get. Our universities aren't even the same anymore, Chris. Like Stellenbosch was a place you normally would you would look up to a place like Stellenbosch, but it's not the same. Because of all of the protests and stuff going on, they would literally enter engineering building and like interrupt the class. But yeah, I'm like, I didn't want to talk to you like about like the bad stuff, more like what's actually good, because most of the things you hear is stuff you see on the media, like okay, the EFF does this and the EFF does this. I wish more parents, like I finally, my dad was in the military for 8 years, op die grens, and like the border wall, and a lot of stories he told me was something. I wish I had the opportunity to actually go to the military. By the way, it's something a lot of us would have loved to do, but we can't. It's a different story today, but I finally got him to a place where he agrees with me upon where we stand in this country in terms of the race issues going on. When you open up Facebook, I'm this is actually ironic because I'm going in a career of app development, and I don't really use stuff like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. When you go into Facebook, for example, all you'll see is EFF.
Yep.
And you always see the bad things. But then when you are curious, like I taught you earlier, a lot of us today, born after apartheid, we're a lot more politically educated than what my parents used to be at this age. And stuff we do is we get curious to a point where we want to see where stuff started and what spiked all this. And yeah, I'm not talking about apartheid now. I'm talking about what actually got a idiot like Julius Malema followers, you know?
The ascension of Jacob Zuma through his ability to threaten his political opponents because he knew where all the bodies were buried. People forget that Jacob Zuma was the head of MK's intelligence, and he knows all the dirt on all the politicians, and he used those levers. And that's how at the Polokwane massacre, Thabo Mbeki was pushed aside. And in fact, it was with Julius Malema's support and others. That's how he came into power. And with the ascension of Zuma, that's where this all started to go pear-shaped. Not that it was in great position before that, but that's really where I mean, you can pick lots of points, but my position is it's been essentially since the day that Zuma became president, this has gone pear-shaped ever since then. And it was not obvious to a lot of people at the time because Zuma said things that weren't particularly controversial. I mean, he came out in favor of Afrikaners. He spoke pro-Boer. He talked about poor whites in squatter camps. But you follow the trajectory of where South Africa's gone. The state capture began in earnest. It was minor stuff going on before that, but began in earnest when the Zuma crowd took over the apparatus of the state, and from there it's on gone downhill.
Exactly.
And what happens is Henry, that it becomes more obvious the corruption, the graft, the failure of governance when we see fictitious BEE companies awarded tenders to deliver textbooks to schools in the Eastern Cape and millions of rand, and nothing happens, no textbooks show up, and no one's prosecuted, and they get away with it because they're connected. Then we see the abuse with the Guptas going on, and when all that's going on, then when they start getting exposed, they have little recourse but to try to divert attention elsewhere. And they tried tentative steps by using racist language, throwing it out there, blaming apartheid. That became the first horse that they beat. Then they accused white people of being racist. And that's where it all comes out of that. Apartheid is just a whipping boy. Apartheid is not the excuse. It's not a legitimate excuse. And very few people in the ANC or even the EFF actually believe that apartheid is responsible for pathetic economic growth and the tensions in South Africa today. They all know that they're responsible, but they don't care. They're busy pilfering. And so there you go.
That's exactly what the apartheid issue is. Like we our generation, because we're white, even though we had nothing to do with it, we are blamed for it because of our skin color. But
which is racist.
It is racist, exactly. Like a lot of times you don't know. Okay, how does he actually get followers? How does he say someone else is racist? Doesn't his followers see what hypocrisy is? But then you see them going to protest and they don't even know why they're protesting. They think they're protesting against racism in all the protesting against actual flipping march against other murders, you know.
There's actually, Henry, there's a few things at work here. One of which is that when you see events like that, many, if not most, or all those people show up, really have no idea why they're there. And people joke about they've been offered a T-shirt and a Streetwise 3-piece from KFC. That's a joke, but there's a lot of truth to that. That actually does happen. And so I think the perfect instance was in Senegal on the 16th of October. Big Daddy Liberty was streaming live from there. And actually, I ran out of my stream, so I pilfered some of his for a little bit. I gave him credit because it was him doing it. He was doing the reporting. And he asked this young lady, had this asinine tattoo on her neck. I'll never forget that. She was attractive, but the stupid tattoo. And he said, so, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, we're here about the case. And he said, well, what specifically about the case? Well, because of racism. And Big Daddy Liberty says to her, he says,
yeah, I saw.
What racism? The whites, I suppose. She doesn't even know why she's there. And that's part of it. Now, there are actually people that believe this nonsense, and some of them are what we call low information voters here in the States. They're poor education, easily hoodwinked, people who are willing to believe anything and who live on identity politics. But you have white people who are the same way. Anything a black person does is just evil. They're incapable of governance, and it's just as bad. So the problem is that you've got to find the people who are not on the extreme in the middle. And the problem is that right now is that the ANC is allowing Julius Malema to flaunt the law, to break the law on an almost daily basis, calling for the murder of people, calling for arson, attacks on cliques, and there's no action being taken against him, other than, AfriForum and Solidarity filing cases against him, things like that. Nothing being done. The man should be in jail. He's a menace to public safety, as are all the leaders in that party. They are a domestic terrorist organization, and while the ANC allows this cancer to develop, to divert attention from them pilfering all the money coming from relief and for the economy being destroyed by their feckless governance, they think that they're covering themselves. But they're creating a firestorm that's going to implode on them, and it's a very serious situation. So I understand why folks at university like yourself are like, well, we're going to immigrate because, well, it's not just safety for your family. If you're a mechanical engineer, you're going to make what? The equivalent of $40,000 or $50,000 a year in South Africa. You're going to make like $200,000 in the UK.
Yeah, you get underpaid here for your qualification. Yeah, exactly correct. But in terms of our perspective, like people like AfriForum, for example, they won't get the support of the youth, and I can tell you why, Chris.
Sure, please.
A lot of us, like the closer you get to town, I guess, the more likely you'll get some of us who thinks like this way. AfriForum only complains when there's an issue against a white person. They're like I have no nice way of putting this, but as soon as there's something against a white person, then it gets a lot more media coverage. They do cover issues with other races as well. I'm not saying they don't, but it gets a lot more media coverage towards them. They'll start suing people. It's court cases left and right. That's the thing where AfriForum comes in, and a lot of times people don't actually see that. Listen, there are people struggling. Like our nanny who works here in our house. She's a black Christian, and she dislikes the EFF. They're not like all the same, but you get a lot of buffoons, also white buffoons, on like places like Facebook and stuff.
Sure.
I
just mentioned that a moment ago. Yep.
Yeah, the exact same thing that the EFF's doing, like putting us all in one ball for one bad action, or not even a bad action. Exact same thing is being done from the other side, and there is a difference. You do see a lot more motivation from whites towards helping other more poor blacks in like a larger perspective, but I do see we are a bit more privileged in that regard to be able to do things like that. Sorry, my English airtime is up here, but on the other side, it's just it would be lucky to see like AfriForum a bit more involved in like in development programs to develop more poor places. I mean, they are obviously focused focused on agriculture at the moment and stuff like that for obvious reasons. But it would honestly, it's those types of things where they are losing votes, and I wish they saw it, because it's a good party. same as Action SA, a brand new party. Started up only recently, I think end of 2019, and it's
No, it started
got
August,
undergo in 2020.
August,
yeah, like was launched then. Also another great company, party. Listen to me, company. Another great party, which you would think, like, listen, this thing will spike. This will get a lot of attention real quick, but the media doesn't cover things like that anymore. Same as you get in the USA with flipping put President Trump. They just flip and blast at him. The media, they never mention any good things and stuff like that. Same goes now with Action SA. They don't mention those type of parties. And as soon as a small party like that can get, this is the way I see it, as soon as a small party like that actually has good motives behind it, as soon as they get a bit of attention, then others will realize, listen, there's gap in this political space in this country. Then more parties will start. The more parties you have, the more votes you take away from the ANC. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily have to beat the ANC, but the more you have, every percent then counts, you know?
No, absolutely.
And
people in South Africa seem to be convinced the ANC can never be defeated, but the numbers simply don't support that. Only 10.5 million people voted for the ANC in 2019. They had 12 million 26 years ago. So in a country that was demonstrably smaller, you had 17 million South Africans who don't even bother to vote, who are eligible to vote. So if a party's serious, which I don't know how long you've been with the channel, I think it's been recent you've come to the channel, but you'll hear me talk repeatedly about you simply have to get out and be engaged, and you have to convince people about your party. And the ANC has handed every opposition party a gift. I can make posters to show, go find people buying cigarettes. Hey, are you registered to vote? I see you're buying those Marlboro, Chester. I can't remember the brands in South Africa because I don't smoke, but you're buying Marlboros. What did you do when the ANC stopped people from buying cigarettes? Did you buy those dodgy cigarettes from the gangsters that came in, paying like 1,000 rand a pack for them? Did you remember the ANC is the one that did that? Look at this. They banned tobacco so you couldn't smoke. And then you see people coming to the package store to buy their Casa Lager or going to Shabin or somewhere like that. Hey guys, remember? You couldn't drink because of the ANC. I mean, I'm embellishing, but it's very easy. The ANC is incredibly unpopular right now, and opposition parties should take advantage of it. But they're not. They're nowhere to be found. Do you see them around you doing this, telling these stories? They're not. How come it's up to Chris Wyatt to tell South Africans who screwed them? Why aren't political parties telling everybody who screwed them?
The EFF can burn down farmers can happen, and there's anti-protests against it and stuff like that, but you hear absolutely nothing. You hear the Human Rights Commission covering the one side which did everything wrong and not the other side that was actually the peaceful protest, It's the ANC, they're corrupt. We knew that since day one. I don't mean since day one when I was still a flipping baby with Nelson Mandela. That's a man I actually look up to. He had good motives. So, I mean, it was a tough thing to do. So respect for him in that regard. Not talking about his history before then, but it's a person you look up to. He had a lot of challenges to face and a lot of backlash as well.
Well, Henry, I think the point there, sorry to interrupt, but I think the point there is when it comes to someone like Nelson Mandela is that human beings are complicated creatures and we all have our flaws. And Nelson Mandela was the following. He was a traditional chief in the Xhosa Nation. He was a boxer, a pugilist. He was an advocate, an attorney. He was a terrorist. He was a political prisoner. He was president of South Africa. He was all of those things. And all of those things, the aggregate, made up who he was. But in the end of his life, he was someone that was very different than he was in his former youth. And in the aggregate, one could look at the balance of his life and decide whether it was good or bad. You wouldn't be amazed, but you'd probably find it quite entertaining. In my African Studies course at the Army War College, I would usually have about 15 to 20 or 25 African students in the class out of my class of 50. And we would get to South Africa and I would talk about Nelson Mandela. I said, Nelson Mandela, the terrorist. You can't call him a terrorist. Why can't I? He described himself as a terrorist, and not 1963. I'm talking about in 1999, in 2010. Nelson Mandela freely admitted he was a terrorist. But his reason for being a terrorist, he said he had no option. Now, I disagree with his reason in 1963, which, by the way, is before my birth, too, not just your birth. But the Ravonia trial was before I was born. But I disagree with his basis for terrorism, but he was honest about it. He called himself a terrorist. Why can't I call him a terrorist? Now, I didn't call him a terrorist to denigrate him. I called him a terrorist to be honest about the historical story. And that's the same thing Nelson Mandela is. So you have to respect that, and I think that's where you were going.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely what I mean. But past that, yeah, about the smaller parties, if you can, our perspective is just to don't mention the EFF, don't complain about them on Facebook. The more you spread those videos on Facebook or make bad comments on the Twitter or something, that's gonna get us more backlash. That's gonna make it worse for us. There's no fighting this. You can see we're not getting help from the Human Rights Commission. We're not getting help from the ANC. They're not gonna do anything. It's simply the fact. The only way this can get resolved if you actually have a good mix of parties with the same motives behind them, who actually wants to continuously fight them in court. That's the only way it's going to happen. Yeah, you're going to say the court's not going to do anything about it, but when you get a tremendous amount of pressure, remember, this doesn't fall under national law. This falls under international law. Things like this can't happen. It's going to same with the Cape Independence, which is something a lot of young people also support. It's not. A lot of people say that they don't want to register because, for example, it can't be done. The DA will say no, and the ANC will say no, and it can't happen. Well, yeah, they'll both say no, but remember, it falls under international law. If you force a referendum in, these types of things are forced in internationally. It's not something that's just it just keeps quiet. Like you can't block something bad forever, when it comes to like these court cases, like nothing happening to Malema. One day or another, other countries are going to deem him a terrorist. He's going to get a bit more exposed out in the world, and they'll see what's going on. Other countries will obviously pressure this one, and that's when it starts.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a couple of things said there. But before I do that, let me make a comment about something here in the chat. Variable Vision said Nelson Mandela was a clandestine Communist Party member. That's actually not true, Variable Vision. He was an unabashed, card-carrying member of the Communist Party and admitted that freely. Almost all senior leadership in the African National Congress historically has also been members of the South African Communist Party. So yeah, well, he wasn't clandestine. He was open. He might have been clandestine in 1963 at Rivonia, but after his release from prison, he was not. But let me play devil's advocate for you very quickly here, Henry. You had some comments about AfriForum, and I'm not defending AfriForum, although I've interviewed Ernst Roots on the channel and I've had Ernst van Zyl on here many times. But the thing about AfriForum is that I think you misspoke. You said party. I don't think you meant party because you were thinking Afrikaans and maybe in English, but they're not a party. So they're a civil rights organization. So you're saying that you say that I think it was just a misspeak from the language. So that's why.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's quite all right. I'm just making sure we're clear so people don't start beating up on you. Oh, he called them a party. No, anyway, no, but they're a civil rights organization, and you said something about all they do is legal cases. Well, I mean, what would people expect them to do other than organize rallies, publish things about civil rights, and or file legal cases? That's kind of what the responsibility is. You mentioned, well, maybe if they were doing some things outside the agriculture sector, but there are groups that do that, and that's not really the role of AfriForum. And your point about AfriForum, what we hear about is when they defend white South Africans, not when they defend black South Africans. Well, that's because the media does that. I will tell you that when AfriForum's Ernst van Zyl told me that they had supported the Basotho people in an effort for helping them to get self-autonomy and self-determination, I was curious about it. So I went onto their website and I looked up for videos, and I found that, for instance, AfriForum was the first organization, not even the media, first organization to report the murder of the first black commercial farmers in the Free State 8 years ago. They reported before the media did. So AfriForum does do the things like that, but the media doesn't cover it. AfriForum has their platform, and they probably should go out of their way, I would agree with you, to make the point more that they're doing things for all South Africans, not just for white South Africans, because it does come across as if they're only concerned about white South Africans. If that's your point, I think it's valid, but I don't blame AfriForum entirely. I blame the captured media for that. For instance, the Zulu king's son was just murdered 3 weeks ago. Almost no coverage of it in South African press. This is the son of the king of the Zulu, the most widely spoken language in the country.
More than 35,000 supporters behind him, eh?
Yeah,
and there's no coverage.
No coverage whatsoever. He was murdered by a gang of 5 thugs. Now, I don't know if it's an assassination or if it was a political hit, or I mean, it was a mob hit. I don't know. I just know that the 50-year-old son, the firstborn son of the king, it was murdered on November 5th, I think it was, and almost no coverage. Just a couple local newspaper reporting saw that. It should be national news. But the fact that, and I mean, it's not like he's just another black guy that was murdered. I mean, not that he was anything special as a person, but he was the son of the Zulu king. Come on, seriously? we're talking about 13 million people. Come on, that's crazy. So, I mean, that's the media. They're captured. Now, I'll give you another example. So during lockdown, a friend of mine named Lana, and I won't disclose anymore, who lives in Pretoria, she organized food parcels for black South African squatters north of Pretoria. And if you've ever been north of Pretoria, you know what I'm talking about. It's a really nasty, rundown area. So they went out to deliver food parcels because the government wasn't delivering anything. This was in April. And the police tried to arrest them for delivering food parcels. And then they they confiscated the food parcels and they drove away with them. So the food never got to poor black South Africans. These are white South Africans trying to help black South. I'm not even talking about whites taking out to white squatter camps. I'm talking about whites in Pretoria taking food out to black squatter camps, and the government stole it from them, the police, and who knows what happened to it. So, you know, it's there are groups out there. So I think that what happens is that people get caught, and Henry, you can disagree with me, tell me if you disagree, but I think people get caught up in bubbles in which they get information and they don't have all the information, and you hear it so often that the narrative becomes easy. Now, I think we can both criticize AfriForum. They can do a better job telling all South Africans what they're doing for all South Africans. And if they're not, if they're only, like, there are organizations that are only for white South Africans. I've talked to some of the people in Sightlanders, and they're like, you know, we're doing this for our white people. Okay, yeah, but there's a lot more people there, you know, so, and there's a few other organizations that do that. So I asked.
Sorry, let me just.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me just clarify what I mean with AfriForum. I'm not like saying they're not doing any good.
Okay.
They're doing fantastic things, you know. Yeah. It's just the things they press the hardest is always the things that gets the most media attention from white people. That's why they get so much backlash about them being racist. No, they're not racist at all. But that's just the reason why. That's why a lot of people can so easily say, yeah, but they must be racist because they only do that for that group and do. Because the only narrative the media coverage they push the most is what's already been pushed the most. You know, like let's say Senegal, that's where you will see them the most. Why? Because it got the most attention, because it gets funding. It's just that's just the way we see it. They're doing fantastic things, but like as you mentioned now, people driving towards squatter camps, poor black squatter camps. My mom, for instance, she worked for Solidariteit Help in a Hand. It's it's a national company, and they do those kinds of things, but they mostly focus on white people. Why? Because you got a lot of other companies only focusing on blacks. They don't even know about 136 white squatter camps in just Johannesburg.
Right.
I can tell you viewers didn't even know that.
Well, I didn't know there were 136. I've been to a few of them, but not 136. That's a lot.
Yeah. They're not as big, but
sure.
136, believe it or not. That's just in Johannesburg, or just a bit outside of Johannesburg. But to do these kinds of things, so she works now for Bok Radio, which is a well-known Afrikaans radio station here in the Western Cape. She does basically the same thing there. She runs WIP, which also helps poor people, but now they focus pretty much more on everyone. And during the lockdown, when they got food parcels in, which they could have done like this, because it's a radio, it's a radio station. They just ask for help on the radio, and just before you know, there's thousands of parcels, thousands of farmers driving in food parcels, so they can hand it out to people struggling during the pandemic. What happened? No, they had to take it away to a central location so the government can hand it out. How does that work? Now you get the ANC handing it out for to score political points. Exactly. How does that work?
Exactly. That's the problem. But Ronald Kant is said in here, she made the point, AfriForum fights for all minority rights. And we agree with that. I think that maybe that the appearance comes across is what Henry's trying to say. The appearance comes across as they only fight for whites. But if you've watched the channel for a while, then you might have seen this. But let me just throw these numbers up in front of you there, Henry, real quick.
No, they don't fight. No, that's not what I mean.
No, you didn't. You didn't say that. What I'm saying is that I believe that you said that it comes across to many people that's what they do, because that's where the attention's focused. But have you seen this before? Yeah. You see these numbers I'm putting up here: 2.8 million, 4.8 million, 8 million, 1.2 million, 4 and 3 million. Any idea what that is? Yeah. Not to put you on the spot.
No.
Okay. So because I don't think you've been with the channel for a long time. So I'm gonna, while we chat here, I'm just gonna put it down there real quick, and then I'll put it back up. And that's so that people. The problem is that I try to tell people that, you know, you have to stop bifurcating, right? You have to stop dividing yourself and to tiny little groups. because you have, before you realize it, an awful lot of people who also think the same way you do, believe in the rule of law, and care about South Africa. So just very quickly, now, not every one of these people will agree with the things against the things ANC is doing, but a lot of people in these groups will, and this is a basis for a multiracial coalition of people who are concerned. So 2.8 million Afrikaners in South Africa, 4.8 million whites total. Now that's the same number. So I mean, there's 2 million more. So I should just put a 2 there. But anyway, so I shouldn't have done. But so let me just change that to 2. That's misleading. I don't want people to think I'm doing the numbers wrong here. So 2 million whites in addition to the 2.8 million Afrikaners or thereabouts. So 4.8 million. So you got 4.8 million so-called white South Africans, about 7 to 9 million coloreds, 1.2 million Indians. Then you got 4 million Tswana speakers in South Africa and 3 million Basotho speakers in South Africa. I'm not talking about Lesotho, I'm talking about South Africa. Now, historically, the white Afrikaner population of South Africa has very close ties to the Basotho people and to the Tswana speakers. Not that there have been difficulties and grievances, but there have been affiliations. Right there, you add those groups up, you're talking 19, 20 million South Africans out of 58 million South Africans, many of whom are angry and hot full of the ANC and the EFF. And so instead of going, just us Boers or just us Afrikaners or just us whites or just us coloreds, how about working together to unseat these clowns and get them out of office? That's my argument. And that's before we even talk about all the Xhosa, all the Zulu who agree with you, all the Venda, all the Siswati. And there are plenty of those people who are angry. And we're not even talking about the other parties like the Inkatha Freedom Party, the UDM, and all this other stuff. The point I'm making here, Henry, is that people are angry, and if opposition parties get out and do their job in retail politics each and every day of the year, the ANC can be unseated in the municipal elections of 2021 in all the major municipalities. Even Durban. I thought Durban wasn't reachable, but I think Durban is achievable now. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And so the narratives are running off the chart, and people aren't hearing the truth.
Yeah, look, so even like I previously mentioned, Action SA is a great example. There are a bunch of mixed collaboration of mixed cultures joining a collaboration with the same view, same goal for what they want to do. In the end of the day, if they achieve what they want to, not to become the next elect, but to, for example, if they just get enough attention, they could start making other collaborations with, like, let's say, the DA or other smaller parties that's got similar goals. The more parties you get, they're not just taking votes away from the ANC, they're taking votes away from the EFF. My point that I previously tried to make with like when people continuously share the things that the EFF does and so on Facebook or Twitter, or they keep giving them attention. That's exactly what you don't want to do. The more angry you, or the more anger you spin, or the more you talk about it, the more anger there is going to be to spin about, and the more you give to them, the more he's got to falsely blame on you. When I'm talking about him, I'm talking about Malema. He always does this. He falsely blames. He falsely says something else is racism. That's what happened, and it's not so. But he's got a tremendous amount of followers, and those followers will go to the next person and say, "But listen, these whites did this." They're not gonna go research it themselves.
No, they're not. But when you say a tremendous amount of followers, we're only talking about a little over 1 million people bothered to vote for the EFF, and their cap I'm predicting is 15% of the population. But I have to hang on to your thought. I got to interrupt for a second because I got to deal with something in the chat here. So Chris Swanepoel says, "Clever program. The speaker has a genuine passion, but I resent programs that don't allow other YouTube links. Makes me think of what Scott Balson of Loving Life says about e-begging." I'm going to take the assumption that Chris Swanepoel is not being a troll because he's put some legitimate comments in before. But let me just straighten this out. First off, Chris Swanepoel, either you're unfamiliar with YouTube or you're intentionally trolling and trying to denigrate my channel. First off, the only people that can put a link in YouTube chat are moderators. That's a YouTube function. I have not a damn thing to do with it. So don't perpetrate and tell fairy tales in here, Chris Swanepoel, you're factually incorrect. I have no control over that. If you want to put a link in here, then ask about putting a link in and ask about temporarily being a moderator. I have done that on occasion for people. But don't come in here and say that I'm blocking you from putting. You're in the chat. You're being allowed to chat. You're allowed to say what you want. The only thing you'll be blocked on is if you put your email address in there or you put your mobile number in there. Then my moderators will remove that for your personal privacy. But don't tell people that you're blocking and they're not doing this. In fact, you're talking about Loving Life. Scott Balson was a guest on my channel. And if you go back and watch the video, links to Loving Life are in there. So I'm not so sure what you're talking about to Chris Swanepoel. And I'm sorry, Henry, I'm getting a little hot under the collar. Just give me a second to finish here. Because I don't appreciate people coming into the chat and misspeaking. If you don't know how YouTube works, then don't attack the content creators. I don't make these damn rules. I'm also not the person at YouTube that fails to renew subscriptions. That's YouTube. That's not me. So please don't come here and spread nonsense. That's not true. And I've been very polite. Little temperature raised, but very polite, Chris Swanepoel. We are not blocking your link. You are not allowed to put a link in as per YouTube, not Chris White Africa. Get your story straight and don't distort and mislead people. Sorry about that, Henry. Back to your conversation. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's totally fine.
It's important because
it's fine.
People spread myths like this, and it's not true.
Yeah. No, listen, so in the end of the day, when you get to all of these better smaller parties, they're going to take votes away from the EFF as well, from those bad people who don't even know what they are voting for in the first place, what they are protesting for. A lot of them don't know. They're just there in anger. They've been told something and they don't have the facts, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily that they are all bad people. There might be, there's a lot of them, but not all of them, you know. So if you get these smaller parties who can spread the right motives, it's going to be a different story. So if people can focus a bit more, in my view, if people can focus a bit more on spreading the good things instead of the bad, you're going to get a different thing. Like, that's what the EFF hates, isn't it? Like winning a Rugby World Cup. They don't like it. It's unity. They're against it.
Oh, of course. They didn't celebrate the World Cup. They didn't celebrate that the captain was Sia Khaleesi. They did celebrate that Sia Khaleesi made asinine comments about Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, is not about equality. It's about black supremacy. Let me just set people straight on that. It's not about equality. But anyway, yeah, we were happy about Sia Khaleesi's comments then, but before then, they could care less that he was on the Springboks. Too many white people on the team. By the way, how many demonstrations did the EFF taken to the Eastern Cape or to KwaZulu-Natal where none of the teachers are white, colored, or Indian, and all of the students are black? How many of those? Is that racism? No, it's not racism. That's just a reality of the area.
Yeah, but to think the third largest party in this country, it's quite scary. It's quite scary that there's still a party in the first place. Well,
I agree with you there, but it's not hard to imagine why they're a party like that, because basically the entire fanatical portion of the ANC, well, not all of it, but a fair portion of it, left the ANC and joined the EFF. That's how they gained votes. And the press, for whatever reason, is propping them up and lying about them. I mean, look at the press coverage they get. At Seneca, at Brockenfell on the 20th, Al Jazeera carries an international story talking about how they were there for protests against anti-racism. And they did mention that they violated a court order. They were only allowed to have 100 people. There were 3,000 to 5,000 people there. They were running with clubs and pangas and knob carries. And in fact, on the photograph that the Al Jazeera puts on the front page of the story, they have a guy running away from the water cannons, and he's got a golf club in his hand. I don't recall seeing a putting range or a sand trap there outside Brockenfell. Why is he running with a golf club? I mean, do they not see the idiocy of reporting that basically they were trying to make the point it was a peaceful demonstration against racism because white people are racist? That's what Al Jazeera was essentially saying. And I got a guy running down the street with a club in his hand. Come on. Like Joe Biden told us. Come on, man. Come on. You know, the thing. Good Lord. Anyway.
Yeah. Listen, you get fake media everywhere, but I think where media is the worst is in America.
It's really
but now again, here in SA, we don't have the economy to play around with like you guys do. So where the media can lie over there, if they lie over here, you're damaging the economy. Why? Because you're chasing away investors. Same with BE and double B and triple E or whatever it's called. Same thing there. It's the United Union, the European Union. Mm-hmm. They're starting to pull away, and it's because of that. It's they
Well,
specifically said, listen,
Okay.
yeah, they specifically said it's been 25 years now, almost 26. We should start to move away from it because there's no potential left in it anymore. It's unsuccessful. When are you going to move away? And you never see these things on the.
It's a lot more than that, though, Henry. I mean, South Africa is highly uncompetitive when it comes to economy. I mean, first off, this isn't, I mean, I love South Africa, but you're at the end of the earth. You're on the bottom of the planet, and you're out of the major lines of shipping. Yes, ships go around the Cape of Good Hope, but most go through the Suez Canal. And so that's where most of the traffic goes, unless it's coming to Southern Africa, particularly, and it's not that big a market. That's one thing. So transportation costs are higher than for many other things. In addition, you have a highly inefficient workforce. It costs a fortune to do business in South Africa. You have to pay a bunch for private security that you don't have to pay for in Iceland. You don't have to pay for in Norway or in Denmark. You don't need that. I mean, you have private security, but not to that level. You don't have to worry about, taking your money to the bank and your driver being executed and shot in the back of the head by thugs on a daily basis. So then you have a workforce that disappears all the time for funerals because of HIV and other reasons. And you have high levels of employee theft from businesses. That's part of it too. Then you throw on top of it uncompetitive workplace. For instance, this threat of expropriation without compensation. And you see now discussions about some politicians in the ANC talking about foreign businesses not being able to own their business in South Africa like Zimbabwe did. This is a highly dangerous and volatile market to put your money into. Only a fool or somebody that is paying off the ruling party would put their resources into South Africa. It's very difficult. And it's only that way because of the ANC. Expropriation without compensation, broad-based black economic empowerment is not necessary. The unbelievably inexpensive and unreliable electricity from Eskom, you can't even rely on electricity. You have to have your own backup power in South Africa. That costs a fortune. I know, I lived in Liberia and everybody got their power from running diesel and gasoline, petrol-powered generators. Do you know how expensive that is compared to getting it from a power plant? It's outrageous. So all of these things thrown together make South Africa a very undesirable investment location. And that's the bottom line. I could fix that. I could fix that overnight by getting rid of BEE, ending the expropriation without compensation, fixing the court system, and increasing funding to the police and training them properly. We could all fix that within 24 months. We wouldn't be able to fix the other things like the inefficient workforce, the poor education levels. That will take 2 decades. The ANC has squandered 26 years they had from 1994 now to fix that. They could have fixed this. Instead, the education today is worse than Bantu education for most South Africans. That's sad. And that makes the place highly uncompetitive. That's why people don't want to put their money there.
Yeah, exactly. We're just selling everything away to China, Our trade's doing terrible. Our trade's doing absolutely terrible.
Your textile industry is gone. Do you know, Henry, that 20 years ago, 70% of textiles and 90% of shoes sold in South Africa were made in South Africa. Today, 10% of shoes and 20% of textiles are made in South Africa. Where does it come from? Bangladesh, China, Taiwan. What the hell? What's going on here? Why are you importing all your clothes from those places?
See, I didn't even know that. I didn't live. I wasn't raised in those times.
No.
I didn't live back then,
Well, you were alive then. That was 20 years ago, not 30 years ago. But the point is,
yeah,
you were in nappies. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get your point.
I used to get stories about how the train stations had these benches and stuff and restaurants on them. You can just ride the train and they'll go to a beach party with massive bonfires, whatever you call it in English. I always get these stories, but yeah, we never had that. It's a lot different. We were rather raised in a $5 billion private security industry. We were raised with those memories, not the other way around. I had my aunt come visit us from New Zealand a few months back. She hasn't been here in about 17 years, and the first thing she asked when she got here was, why is all fences so tall? And this is weird for me because it's very strange because you're like, well, we were raised like this. This is normal for us. Why there's so many dogs barking? That's the complaint. I'm used to it. That's all security. But then you go over there, and it's a different story. There's not these high fences. There's not these many dogs barking everywhere and so forth. So it's a lot different for us. But I think overall, we have a lot of things that we can. I wish we had a bit more free speech, especially in university. That's one thing I can honestly, openly tell you, I wish we had that. If we were able to, if we had these board meetings as reps in our at our university, people are so quick to shut us off if we had an idea or something, even if it's to raise funds for something small like helping people or something like that. They're so quick to discriminate anything you say because you're white. And these things do happen at the universities, but it doesn't get any media coverage. I mean, we don't mind, but if you shut down so many great minds with so many great ideas, you're going to end up with nothing. We're supposedly the future right now, where the current students and the kids back then, what's their future gonna, what's gonna be in place for them when they end up in university? That's where ideas start. That's where they actually start to mature, or pass matric. Right now, you can pass matric with 30%. So what's gonna happen with the universities in a few years? So these things, I think these things are definitely something that our education needs to get a bit more coverage than it's currently getting. The main reason education is where economy starts.
Absolutely. You can't be competitive if you have an illiterate and untrained workforce. I mean, there's always a cost of business for businesses training their employees to do the functions of that business. But when you also bring in people who are illiterate, who can't think with critical thinking, or can't reason because they didn't get a proper education, then you've got a real disadvantage.
Yeah.
So let me do a little bit of housekeeping there real quick, Henry. And there's a couple comments here I need to address. So Chris Swanepoel said that no, he sent a message with a few euro early in the show about Colonel Vinet du Toit's presentation on Sightlanders YouTube channel, Pretoria, day before yesterday. Okay, that wasn't clear. That's what I'm asking. So I saw that message. I mentioned it, but I didn't understand what you were typing. And like maybe you said, maybe you've had too many beers after your braai. So I guess you wanted me to mention it. Vinet du Toit did a presentation on the Sightlanders YouTube channel in Pretoria day before yesterday. I didn't see that. If you want to tell us what's about, Chris Swanepoel, please throw that in the chat really quick. So much talking about. Tian, who's been with us for a long time, is in the aviation industry, said the textile industry disappeared overnight after minimum wage came into law. Yes and no. The real reason South Africa's textile industry dried up almost overnight was the multi-fiber agreement expired. The General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, GATT, which preceded the World Trade Organization, that's the predecessor of the World Trade Organization. The GATT agreement left in place this artificial competitive advantage for countries where they assembled textiles in a third location. So that gave an artificial advantage to countries in Southern Africa because the cotton and the material would be imported to Lesotho, into Mozambique, into Swaziland, into South Africa, and they would assemble and make the textiles there, and then they could avoid quotas that were limiting China and other producers from shipping it into Western Europe or the United States. So they could get around those quotas by producing them there and then ship it to the U.S. and Europe, where there are no quotas on textiles from South Africa, Lesotho, and Swaziland, and so on and so forth. That multi-fiber agreement dissipated and went away on January 5th of 2005, I think was the date. And that's when the textile industry in Southern Africa disappeared almost overnight. 160,000 textile jobs disappeared from Southern Africa. I think 100,000 of those from Lesotho within 6 weeks, as Chinese and Taiwanese producers relocated their production from Southern Africa back to Asia because they no longer had a fake artificial advantage. Now they could export because the quotas were gone, and they could produce them cheaper and more efficiently in Asia than they could in Southern Africa. So anyway, sorry about that, Henry, but that's an important distinction that I think is important to bring out.
Yeah, it is. It is. Flip, regarding our trade, it's it's hectic, eh? Where we sign with China and the like the Democrats over there in the USA, they deny it. They deny it's going on. Australia woke up recently. They're fighting against it as well now. Europe noticed that, listen, Australia is actually buying themselves into our country. China's buying themselves into our countries. They're playing a long-term strategic game here, and it's losing your country a lot of jobs, and it's in the end going to lose you your trade.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a fair point you made. It's definitely our economy. I don't see even let's say we had the perfect party take over. The perfect party took over this country. They got control. Like the perfect party, everyone can agree with a very strong president and a very strong party with a very strong board. It's going to take years to recover. it's not gonna it's not gonna happen in one election.
Yep.
So there's a lot of hope for what can happen to finally get the ANC out of power, but even then it's gonna take a lot of patience.
It is, and
then
that's what I argued in 1994, is it's going to take 20 years, 2 decades, 2 generations of patience for South Africans, because you have, at that time, you had all these people who didn't go to school in the 1980s and 70s to protest the implementation of Afrikaans, and that they were largely uneducated and unproductive in the workforce, and you're going to need proper governance for 2 decades just to overcome that, and the ANC squandered that. Listen, Henry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to run because I have to get back to over to the Carlisle Barracks before something closes in about 25 minutes.
It's all good.
So thanks a lot for calling in. Appreciate your input as a 22-year-old South African. Appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel. And you're welcome to call back in another time. And I want to say very quick before you go, Chris Swanepoel, it looks like we addressed what he was concerned about. He wanted to get the link put in from Colonel Viantu Toit. So it sounds like a misunderstanding. But Chris, please don't come here and say that we're blocking your links. That's simply not true. It's not factually true. Anyway, all right, Henry, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support for the channel.
Thank you very much, Chris. No, all good. All good. I love it. I love your channel. I learn a lot. We've got a lot to learn from you boys.
Cool beans. All right. Well, thanks a lot. I'll let you drop off there, and then I'll hang up because we're 2 hours and 30 minutes almost here. And we have I hate to go when we have a big audience, about 100, but I really have to go. So I apologize for that. Have a lekker Freitagabend, although it's almost midnight. It's after midnight there for you, so it's Saturday. So enjoy your Saturday, okay?
Hey, Chris.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye,
Cheers.
Doctor.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, folks, that was Henry Ford, and he didn't try to sell us any Model Ts. I know, it's a bad dad joke. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot. I'm sorry to rush, but I do have to run. I didn't expect to go this long. I was going to cut off at an hour and a half, and here we've gone 2.5 hours. Thanks to Henry Ford for calling in. Chris Swanepoel, thanks for clarifying what you were looking for there. We've got the link in. People go check it out. Hendo, thanks for posting that link. And anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow, we have Dean Chancey, the guy that sings It Ain't Easy to Kill a Boar. He'll be on the channel tomorrow. Tune in for that, and more guests coming up next week. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy your Friday and Saturday. God bless, and we'll catch you guys later on. And be well. As Big Daddy Liberty says, never trust a commie. As Chris Wyatt says, don't trust an ANC cadre because they're coming for everything you got. God bless and have a good night, folks. Take care.